Side note, when have we ever been on time? Has that ever happened?
We've been early.
But never actually
No.
at 9 o'clock.
Last week's audio podcast was on time because I pre-arranged publishing on both platforms because you can now schedule posts on Patreon.
Right. Hi, guys.
Oh, we're live.
I've got a swirly circle. Hello again,
Ah.
everyone.
That's much quicker than I thought it was. I'm glad we've discovered this.
What, the not putting a pile of washing on top of the router so you get everything worked faster?
No. The published thing, I thought there was a much bigger delay on the Mevo side of things than this.
Unless Mevo have updated the app again.
There was an update just before we started.
Good timing.
I'll switch the iPad on when I get home and update
Yes.
the next one because what's the betting if I forget it'll be, camera's rigged up and everything, it'll be February. It's like, you have 17 updates.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's how it works.
Yes.
Probably.
I would say hi, but hello again because I think everybody that is on this was on the previous one. It just makes it a lot easier to publish them this way.
Yes, it does. It does.
And it was a last minute decision to do the Patreon live for everybody.
It was.
Because it's Christmas.
It's Christmas. We're all happy and jolly.
It's just as well, actually. It's just as well we use one of the tracks off my EP for that because that means we can put it out without any worries of copyright.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, that is a very good call. Actually, I've seen how much licensing costs to play music on a podcast, and it's surprisingly not as expensive as you'd think.
Is it
I
not?
imagine
No.
it varies a lot, artiste to artiste.
No, you go through the Performing Rights Society, and it depends on how many downloads it gets. So, for our show being publicly available, I think we'd only have to pay something like 80 quid a year for our level of listeners.
Sounds not worth it.
Would you not get hit for PPL as well?
I'd have thought so.
Um,
This is not fun for people.
no, it isn't. We'll talk about it later. It depends how the music's used.
The ins
No,
and
I was
outs
thinking,
of music publishing law.
because I was thinking maybe next year I'd like to start doing like a classic album review show.
Just a thought. If we wanted to use any of Taylor Swift's music, we could not ask her. Because it doesn't matter if we ask her.
That'd be like getting something autographed by Joe DiMaggio.
Oh, we're back onto that.
I forgot to mention that was one for the Patreon.
What's that?
Baseball player Joe DiMaggio that was married to Marilyn Monroe.
Right.
As mentioned in the We Didn't Start the Fire song.
So you're the bastards with a box of matches.
That's the one. He sold the rights to his autograph.
Yeah.
So after he did that legally, he wasn't allowed to sign anything, even like a check or a bill or a contract.
That's crazy.
Without
That is such
having
a
to pay
stupid
royalties
thing.
himself to this agency that he'd sold his autograph rights to.
Well, do you know Scientology is called Scientology because L. Ron Hubbard sold the rights to Dianetics. So he had to call it something else. Anyway,
Well, on
that's
that
not
pile
Formula
of
One.
crazy.
Are we going to
That's not Formula One. I
talk?
think,
No.
let me just
Luxurious
blow out
cloud.
luxurious cloud.
It wasn't very luxurious.
Are you
that.
getting onto the
That-
silent vape
That
now?
dissipated massively fast.
I'm using a different liquid. Right, back to the silent vape. Oh, hang on, I've just switched it off. Right, I switched on.
It looks like you're sucking on like an cuttlefish.
I always think it looks like a big USB stick or like a Bluetooth dongle.
I like the idea that when you got it in your mouth, you got Wi-Fi.
That's why. That's
Hang on
why
a minute,
the
our
camera,
uploads have sped up.
That's why the camera is quicker. Yeah, he's like repeating the signal.
You also can't do Groucho Marx impressions with one of those.
The what?
You also can't do Groucho Marx impressions with one of these.
Who?
Look it up, it's online. Shall we do a podcast?
Right,
I need to
okay.
finish this yawn. Right, there we go.
Are you finished yawning?
No,
You're yawned
it'll
out.
be back at some point.
Hi, and welcome to this week's 3Legs4Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
And Lee.
And nobody else, because Dan's being Chris Rea,
Yeah.
driving home for Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and Get Well Soon Flood.
Yes, get well soon. Flea's lost his voice, and he did a singy sing with a coldy cold, and now he can't talky talk.
Brokey broke.
Although he did say by the end of the set he had to use honey and lemon to get through the last couple of songs.
Yes.
So yeah, the Isle of Man flu virus is still alive and well.
So we have an empty chair.
So we could have filled it with a podcat, but Jensen's an arsehole.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is actually a little bit of news, even though there's no season going on at the minute.
Well, this is where we usually think it's going to be dead quiet, isn't it? And then everything starts going batshit crazy before
2016, case in point.
Like,
Yeah.
retiring people, and well, that's not happened this year, but
Yeah.
I think there'll be a lot coming in on the lead up to this race because, as far as I'm concerned, like what we'll talk about later on anyway with Lewis. Silly season's already started.
Does silly season actually end anymore? Or is it just a year-round thing now?
No, I tell you, it never used to start before the end of the year of that season.
I think this is a little bit different with the silly season
With
this year.
2021.
Yeah, because of
it's
the
not
whole
the next silly season; it's
No.
the one after.
It's the whole Concord agreement thing, and nobody was able to sign a contract that lasted beyond the end of 2020. So all the speculation for the last year and possibly a little bit before then, going back into like the middle of 2018, is what's going to happen to practically every driver when 2021 rolls around. There's a new Concord agreement, and everybody's contract's up for grabs.
Yeah.
So I think this is why we've had this like 18-month silly season.
I think every team in 2021 will have at least a driver change. I don't think any team will go with a solid team from 2020 to 2021.
It's not looking likely, is it?
Maybe Force India.
Racing Point.
Oh no, it's going to be not Alfa Romeo.
Alpha Tauri?
No, Aston Martin, isn't it?
Oh, God, yeah, that's one thing I forgot to write down. Yes.
We might as well start talking about that.
Yeah, because Lawrence Stroll's buying, what is it, 25% of Aston Martin?
Yeah.
Is he now? Okay.
Daddy, I want our team to have a better name. Okay.
That's going to screw Red Bull over.
Are they not in the last year of their deal
Yeah.
anyway? And their whole deal was linking up to Aston Martin coming in as an engine
And their
supplier, which
Honda,
isn't happening.
and it's weird, isn't it? It's weird
Yeah.
for Aston Martin to be on a car with a different engine in, and especially if Aston Martin has still got half an eye of coming into Formula One,
which they probably haven't.
this might not be a bad thing for
Come in via Racing
what they're
Point.
called, yeah.
Then maybe if they can sort of...
Are we assuming as well that Racing Point have an uncertain engine situation from 2021 anyway because of the McLaren thing?
Yeah, probably.
Well,
Because
yeah.
McLaren and Williams
Yeah.
both have deals with Mercedes for 2021.
Yes. But Mercedes are saying that the wording of the engine supply rules is you can't supply to more than 3 customer teams.
Yeah.
And Mercedes are now saying, well, actually, we're a factory team, so we don't come under that agreement, so we could
That makes sense.
have an extra
Yeah,
supply. And the FIA saying, we don't know.
I think it's engine manufacturers are that precious in Formula One. I think the rules would be bent to suit the engine manufacturers.
I mean, it could be that if Mercedes aren't allowed to supply Racing Point or Aston Martin as they become then, Renault will possibly be able to step in, because by then they'll only be supplying or making engines for their own factory team, assuming they haven't pulled out by then. Because
Just gonna say that.
although I mean, with
They're doing stuff, though, aren't they? We talked about this last week. They're shuffling the deck chairs.
The chassis designer has been replaced, and there's new people coming in, and they're apparently still increasing the staff.
Yeah.
So it's either they're going to be in it for a slightly longer haul than we think.
But
or,
even Honda, when Honda pulled out, they were still building next year's Brawn. Do you know what I mean? Before it didn't have a Brawn. Yeah, I don't think there's a great winding down period when it comes to a board member going, this is the point. It's this million. That's the last million we're spending. Then it's the pulling the plug, isn't it? Before any more money's wasted.
I mean, one thing Renault need to do to improve, and that will probably keep the board happy and keep them in F1 longer, is get a new fucking team principal.
Or even Mercedes. Like Mercedes.
No, they don't need a new team principal. The one they've got's pretty good.
Yeah,
There is
but
chatter on that, though, that I
there's
think we'll
chatter
get
that
onto
Mercedes
later.
might pull out, isn't there?
Well, there's more gossip and conjecture going around than we can usually fit into an average podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
And that takes a lot of doing.
but it would make, if Mercedes did want to pull out of Formula One and they're supplying McLaren again, which they've had a lot of success with, it's probably the best opportunity for them to leave Formula One and still have a massive footprint on it.
Well, I mean, there's talk mainly from Eddie Jordan, so I don't know what credence you can put on this.
He's usually fairly...
He has been pretty accurate in the past, which is the thing. And his latest one is Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari with Toto Wolff.
I mean, if Ferrari, that's what they did last time they were good.
They just bought in
Does James
the winning
Allison,
team.
does James Allison go with them?
I don't know exactly who is included in the package, but...
I mean, James Allison would effectively be the Rory Byrne of the deal.
Yeah.
But would James Allison go back to Ferrari after the way they treated him like shit before?
I mean, who knows? Who knows how deep that runs? That guy, I don't even want to think about what he was going through at that point in his life. Oh yeah, so I wouldn't even want to try and make up how he might have felt. But I think it depends how well you'd get on with Toto. How, if he was all of a sudden going to be your boss there, and it wasn't going to be the Ferrari that's been falling apart at the seams.
I mean, obviously, Toto places a lot of stock in James Allison because James Allison was honorary Toto.
Yes. Yeah.
When Toto wasn't at the race. So, all right, turned into an absolute nightmare, but I don't think that was anything to do with James Allison. That was just every so often something turns to shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's... I don't think it can be ignored.
I'm swearing more than you tonight.
Yeah. I don't think it can be ignored, though, that that Toto disappears and Mercedes have a fucking horror on their hands. You know, you can't, even if it's not necessarily the decisions that are going on in the race, but the building of the race weekend and the having that guy there, like the leader person.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it was some elaborate power play on his part? Like maybe he's after a new contract.
Well, his contract is up at the end of next year.
Was doing a look what happens if I'm not there.
Or maybe it was he's already sort of come to agreements of ending his contract with Mercedes. So we'll see that we'll know whether Toto's leaving Mercedes if at least 2 races next year he's not there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to call. I mean, I've never known it before where silly seasons included team principals.
No, it's crazy, isn't it?
Wild.
Like, I've never known a throwaway season in Formula One, and 2020 feels like a throwaway season.
You're waiting for what's coming next.
Because we've had 2021 rammed down our throats and teased at us that much for the last year or so.
Yeah.
I don't know, 2020 is just a bit of an afterthought. I saw a tweet a week or so ago asking Codemasters just to release F1 2021 now because we all want it because nobody gives a damn about next year.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've just spent, 10 minutes nearly, best part of, talking pretty much exclusively about 2021.
I think there's going to be a lot of talk about that next year. You know, I think nearly every race is going to have something that points towards the future.
Are we going to include a new feature in all of next year's shows where we just have the 2021 bit?
Back to the future section.
So yeah, the main gossip is Hamilton to Ferrari.
Yeah.
But Aston Martin coming in, Racing Point changing the name to Aston Martin in a couple of years?
I think that'll happen. If their deal with Red Bull's up and they don't want to work with Red Bull, they clearly want to stay in Formula One in some capacity. And when you think it's Stroll buying into Aston Martin, then it doesn't make any sense for them not to rebrand the car Aston Martin because it's better than fucking Racing Point.
Well, yeah,
and pink,
and it means all the Aston Martin merch that you get in the shops and places like Goodwood will all be Tommy Hilfiger.
Yes. No, I hope so, and it would be nice. It would be nice to have the Aston Martin name on the grid.
Yeah. Be good as well if it was green.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely not a proper green car. I'm not counting Caterham since Jaguar, because that Lotus Caterham, whatever it was, Team Tony Fernandez, that didn't count.
Yeah.
That's my bold 2021 prediction right now. Is that Stroll Jr. is fucking out of there for 2021.
It's got to be. I mean, another stat that I saw today.
I saw this as well.
Yeah, was if Racing Point had a second driver on the at the same quality as Perez, scoring the same number of points that Perez did, Racing Point would have finished 5th.
Yeah.
And that was even with Stroll getting that random good result in Germany.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. If they bring in a brand like Aston Martin, they won't be able to carry a shit driver, even if he is the owner's son.
Yeah, and the difference in prize money was, what was it, about $13 or $14 million?
Or 5p if you're Lawrence Stroll.
That is
5 English pence.
mere pocket change, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, if it was Canadian dollars, that's about 20p anyway. So, yeah, I mean, Lawrence Stroll will have 25% control of Aston Martin, but he won't be in full control. And there'll be people on the board of that company who will make the decision going, if we're staying in Formula One, we want regular point scorers. We want both cars in at least Q2 every race.
Yeah.
Which is a challenge if you're Lance Stroll.
Yes. Yeah, putting on your own shoes is a challenge if you're Lance Stroll, because don't forget he's got a shoe guy in the garage.
That's true. I think it's fair, though. I think it's fair to give him another year of try, and if I personally don't see any improvement, but
maybe, here's a thought, Aston Martin coming in is the way to sort of shuffle Lance Stroll sideways, because they will have a hypercar in WEC.
maybe
Put him in that.
won't it just be a car if he's in it?
Well, yes.
They do have all the sports cars as well. If he's not
Yeah.
quite up to the old hypercar,
Mm.
he could be Alex Brundle's teammate.
I'm sure Alex Brundle would be thrilled by that prospect, and possibly rather have his dad, because at least he wins races with his dad.
I always thought it was a shame Alex Brundle never made it to Formula One. He seems like such a nice lad.
So what else have we got? Now, on the future of Honda, they are looking to put Yamamoto in some kind of role in Toro Rosso next year. And
Test driver, you reckon?
I reckon he'll get a few Friday mornings,
Yeah.
because he was a success at Suzuka. And it's
Was he? I thought he was really slow. This is what confused me.
I think they seemed happy enough, didn't they?
Was it successful that he didn't crash?
Probably, yeah.
He was running some really bizarre program, and he wasn't expected to get fast laps, but it was all data gathering.
Right, okay.
Because when you saw him go out, he had at least 3 aero fences. I think there was one on each side pod, and there was one on the back of the rear wing as well.
Do you know
So-
what as well? Toro Rosso did finish the year quite strongly, so that maybe he did get them the good data.
Maybe, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Honda are looking to put him in with a view to getting him into F1.
I still feel like he's too old.
It is getting on. I mean, we've just said Alex Brundle never made it to F1.
Yeah.
He's younger
Yeah.
than Yamamoto.
And Yamamoto come 2021 will be, what, 32?
I think
Yeah,
so, yeah.
he's 31 now.
Yeah.
So
Oh, so you're knocking on the door of 33 by then.
yeah, and of course to make a start in F1 these days, you've really got to be under 20.
Months.
Yeah.
Especially with Red Bull.
But if they can negotiate a role, then that will be good, because that will keep Honda interested.
Yeah.
Because if they've got a vested interest in one of the cars, then that way they'll keep funneling money into it, and we won't lose another engine supplier.
It's a funny thing, the old Formula One for Japan, isn't it, when it comes to Honda? Honda doesn't seem to get the... I mean, I know they've had a rough ride of it this time in Formula One, but even when they've been in with their own team and stuff, and when they had a good engine and they were Honda BAR, whatever it was, you seem to always forget Honda were in Formula One. Do you know what I mean? It never felt like the way you'd feel about a Renault being in, or Mercedes, or another manufacturer.
Yeah, I mean, Honda hasn't properly been in Formula One since it was powering a Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know whether it's the difference in culture between the very Western Formula One and very, very Japanese Honda.
Maybe we don't see the results of it over here, and maybe they sort of keep all their big sort of promotion and
For Japan. It makes sense. Formula One's mega in Japan.
We are the Formula One engine supplier that's won X, Y, and Z, and they're trading on that in Japan. Whereas it gets to the West, and there's all the other suppliers that have been successful, but Honda sort of keeping things big, big enough in their own country.
I'm sure.
And don't forget they own Suzuka as well.
Yeah, I'm sure Red Bull and Max Verstappen, especially, are hugely marketable in Japan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see the anime Red Bull people.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you just had to look at the anime style Dutch lions around the track in Suzuka.
Yeah.
And if the Japanese can make a costume out of it, bloody hell,
two
they
races
will.
he reckons, isn't he? I think I read somewhere. Max Verstappen thinks within the first couple of races he's gonna know pretty much what he's doing with his Formula One career.
Well, there we go.
Personally, I think it would be good for Honda to stay in
because
they've now proved they've got a race-winning engine.
Yeah, they've developed well.
They've got a good package.
Way.
And they just need to get Linford Christie as a spokesman. Sorry. Yeah, I can see things working out well, but Yamamoto's age is the worry. There's also talk about maybe getting Tsunoda moved further up the ladder. It looks like he's going to be an F2.
Yeah, I think
he's been testing
would,
for Carlin.
I think he would need at least 2 years in F2. He was he had a couple of good results in F3, but he was crashy.
Yeah,
and he's also tiny, so I think there's a lot of work, muscle-wise, to do there.
I think that it's like the unfortunate thing, isn't it? I mean, it's not unfortunate really because it doesn't fucking matter as far as Formula One is concerned. But if you don't explode in F2, then I don't think you're a Formula One driver.
The thing is, though, look at Stoffel. He completely dominated.
Oh yeah,
F2,
I think Super Formula might be the death of Formula One drivers for some reason.
Yeah, don't go there.
Yeah. But,
Gasly is the only one that's had any kind of F1 success.
Yeah.
And
he nearly lost his drive.
It took him a demotion.
Yeah.
To recover to where he was when Red Bull put him in Super Formula.
But to break into Formula One is where I don't think it guarantees success exploding in F2. But to break in, you have to be outstanding in F2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way the super license points are set up now, really, is that's where you have to go to get a license.
Well, even, I know Albon was sort of dropped by Red Bull and stuff like that, but even that year, Albon looked good.
Yeah, he forced his way back into contention.
Yeah.
But then again, Red Bull have done that with Kvyat, and he's forced his way back somehow by driving a simulator really well. Yeah, that don't work, does it?
Yeah, but I feel Kvyat's slightly different, isn't he? Because Red Bull destroyed Kvyat.
Yeah.
It was he had the same thing as Gasly, where there was too much pressure put on him. And to be perfectly same thing as Gasly. That's why I think Albon's done so well because he's had more pressure than both of those. Because I like Mark Webber. That's not the same pressure as being in a car next to Max Verstappen.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing what Albon can do in a full season. Just hoping that he gets a full season next year. But we'll talk about that in January when we do the
But I'll tell you just quickly now.
Massive conjecture.
I think Albon, with testing under his belt and developing that car, will be able to be a headache for Max Verstappen.
I think even if he doesn't challenge Max Verstappen regularly, if he's getting podiums, Red Bull could challenge Mercedes.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting because we've not seen a lot of that.
Spoiler, I don't think anyone's going to challenge Mercedes.
Oh, whether or not they actually win a title, I'm not saying, but they might make it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, Mercedes will launch the car next year, and the announcement will be, "You've seen this before. It won everything last year. What's the point?"
Yeah, last year's was a bad Mercedes. This one's good.
This one's last year's, and it'll still destroy the competition.
I don't know. They've already done. They put a seat fitting video up with Bottas this week, and Craig Scarborough has already done that. This is different. This is different. This is different.
Yeah, and we christened the way that Bottas, or me and Flood christened the way that Bottas got into the car as the Scarb stepladder.
Yeah,
because it was more than one Scarb step because it was well off the ground.
Is it also risky to do a seat fitting at this time of year? I mean, what if they have a bit of a good Christmas?
Then they have a hell of a lot of workouts to do in January. Wouldn't it be better to do the seat fitting now, though, than, say, January 2nd when you've just done all of Christmas and you haven't worked the excess off?
I think athletes might have, a Christmas dinner. I don't think they sit down and go, right, I'm going to eat for 2 weeks.
2 words. Kimi Räikkönen.
He doesn't look like a big eater. I think he'd probably eat less in the off-season.
What was it he was doing this week?
I don't know, but he
In
was
the
a bear
reindeer?
costume.
He was
Was it
dressed
reindeer?
up in a reindeer onesie.
No, it was a monkey. He was dressed as a monkey.
Oh, I thought I
There was some
saw
kind-
one.
Right,
Yeah.
we've got 3 different animals. So
Yeah.
some kind of
a
furry creature.
some esports thing, and there wasn't a photo of him without a beer in his hand.
Yeah, and I think was his wife dressed as Alice in Wonderland?
She was dressed as something.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me. Talking of Kimi Räikkönen and drinks, you missed this one, Lee. We saw cans of the Kimi approved long drink on sale in Liverpool last weekend.
Did you have one?
We had a cider instead.
Yeah,
didn't we?
going back to the Patreon show, I didn't because it's gin based,
Oh, right.
and
okay.
I don't like gin. And by the time we noticed it, you'd already ordered.
Kimmy doesn't strike
cider.
me as a gin drinker.
Apparently, the long drink is a Finnish tradition. The gin based.
I think Kimmy
thing.
just strikes me as a whatever
A
you've
drinker.
got going.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's in a glass, it's fine.
That's one thing in the future. Formula One's going to be a poorer place when Kimi Räikkönen goes.
It's going to be a more sober place. Then again, he might just hang around in the paddock and
Yeah. Yeah, paddock club.
yeah, adverts for Drink Canada Dry. Okay, I'll give it a go. What have we got next? Well, you've written down 2020 tyres, but you've written down something that isn't going to happen because they're not, are they?
Yes, the Pirelli announced, I think, within hours of the podcast going up last Tuesday.
Yeah, podcast went up at 10:30. Pirelli made the announcement around about 11:30, 12
Basically,
o'clock.
the teams have decided after testing the 2020 tyres that they're shit, and plans for the 2020 tyres have been scrapped.
The money that must cost Pirelli.
Yeah, because they did testing. They did, I think, some testing in the Abu Dhabi test, and then Mercedes did a tyre test as well, and they were not good.
But do you think like Pirelli a bit like, guys, this is not the first time you've drove on these. Like, you could have said this months ago.
Well, they've been run all the tyre tests during the year for the 2020 spec. They were running that many different compounds.
Yeah.
And not one of them was good.
They couldn't find any positive features in any of the prospective 2020 tyres.
Is it a Pirelli problem? Is it a Pirelli problem or is it a Formula One problem? I tell you what, 2021 is going to be fucking crazy for tyres because no one's going to know what the fuck they're like. At least
And the wheels are going to be bigger.
Yeah, but at least but they're testing those wheels on these cars, which are different.
Yeah. You do have to wonder because, like, they do test with every team, don't they? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Because all the teams
got
wanted
2
it,
cars,
which is
haven't they, for the next
fair
one?
enough. Which is fair enough that all the teams wanted to get involved. But does that then make it very difficult to get consistent feedback?
I think it does because I mean they'll have got the feedback from Haas.
Who said they were shit?
No, we can't get heat in these ones either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is about all the feedback you get from tyres with Haas. It's like we can't switch them on. And that's basically what they've said all year about these tyres.
But a unanimous no, though.
From every team.
Yeah.
It must have...
And the FIA as well.
Yeah. They must have just given up by the Abu Dhabi test.
I still can't help think that everyone turns around and goes no, and then Ferrari goes, yes.
Try this compound. We based it on the wheels from Lewis's pit lane scooter. But you know what more do you want? But we've said, and it was Chris that started this one first. Pirelli are in the ultimate no-win situation.
Yeah, we've said this for fucking years
since
now.
the second season Pirelli were
Yeah.
in, which I think was round about when we started.
Yeah.
It's just we want the tyres to run until the drop off. Oh, the drop off's too dangerous.
Yeah.
We want tyres that we can run flat out. Here's some tyres that can run flat out. Oh, the races are now boring because there's no strategy in it. Oh, now we can't race at full speed.
Yeah.
Because the tyres are too unpredictable. I was like, well, what the hell do you want?
I don't know. I don't know what fixes it. I don't believe it's a tyre war because I think it's too much of an Ferrari Bridgestone situation chance.
Yeah. Then you get left with US 2005 again.
Yeah. But well, again, that's when you get like a tyre arms race, isn't it? Where both tyre manufacturers are desperately trying to make their tyres the fastest, which is kind of cool.
But I think the problem with the Ferrari Bridgestone thing, and this is why everybody sort of moved away from Bridgestone, and we just got left with Jordan and Minardi using Bridgestone tyres, is that Bridgestone had to supply a minimum of 3 teams.
Yeah, for it to be legal.
For them to be able to supply. They were making the tyres to suit that Ferrari.
Yeah.
and they found the two most cash-strapped teams on the grid and offered them money to take the tyres.
Yeah, I mean, those fucking things came out of the mould with a Ferrari logo on them.
Yeah. Not as badly badged for Ferrari as that Mercedes that we saw in the car park yesterday with a Ferrari badge on the registration plate that had been altered to look like the Manx flag.
Right, okay.
That was one of the... I should have got a photo of that, because that is one of the saddest things I've ever seen.
It was a
That's quite
bizarre
weird.
thing. And it was like a newish, fairly reasonable Mercedes. It wasn't like something from a scrapyard, but with a Ferrari badge.
Weird.
Yes, it was an odd choice.
Was it Lewis's car?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Did you hear about Vettel? About talk about Lewis comes to Ferrari, and he was asked. He said, "I'm sick of hearing this question. I can give you the exclusive. He's already signed."
Are we getting Happy Vettel back? That could
Mischief
that could,
Vettel is usually quite entertaining.
Yeah.
to
That
be
could
fair.
mean that Ferrari are looking like they've got a good car next year. Oh, hang on, how many years have we been saying that?
No.
Well, they are the first. They are the first team to announce the launch date.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yes, that came out last week. It's the
Already launch
11th
dates,
of
wow.
February.
Can't remember.
Crazy.
But yeah, Ferrari have already announced that when the car's going to be launched.
I'm amazed that.
Because normally you don't get it until sort of third week in January.
Yeah.
It's usually happy birthday, Dan. Oh, by the way, here's all the launch dates.
Yeah.
Do we reckon it's a bit of a psych? They're like, well, we are so organised. We know what's happening. The car's definitely going to be ready on this day. No problem.
Yeah, I think we could be going back to the old days of Ferrari mind games.
Either that or Bernardo screaming at somebody. Go, no! I said, would you like to go for lunch, mate?
But yeah, it does seem a bit of a strange one announcing it so early.
Yeah.
Nah, definite mind game.
Mm.
I'm amazed those two drivers are in that team this year. Amazed.
I mean, there's still time for Vettel to retire.
It's not going to happen. I think it would have happened before Christmas.
It's not Christmas yet for another 9 days.
It's true. But Joe, I think we'd have known by now. I think he'd have done it at Abu Dhabi, to be perfectly honest, after the race.
Possibly, but I mean, it took Rosberg till it was the FIA prize giving, wasn't it? When he
Yeah, but that was like the 2nd or 3rd of December. It
the
wasn't
difference
this
is Rosberg
late.
wanted to go. I don't think Vettel doesn't want to leave Formula One. I'm not sure he wants to be in Ferrari.
Another year of him phoning it in, then.
Well, no,
Just
no,
like his last
no.
season at Red Bull.
no, because he needs to impress. He's right now. Is he worth hiring
Yeah, if he wants to get in like a Mercedes
or a Red Bull?
or a Red Bull, he would need to have a better year than the year he's just had,
Yeah.
because he probably doesn't unseat Bottas or Albon at the minute.
I mean, that would have to be the dream for him, wouldn't it? The dream for Vettel would be that he smashes it next year, doesn't win the title, but maybe the car's not up for winning it, beats Leclerc, Lewis is going to Ferrari, and they can do a seat swap. That's what Vettel would want. Might be what Bottas wants as well, because I think if they can't find somebody to stick in another Mercedes that Lewis Hamilton leaves, it might be the only way that Bottas keeps his seat for 2021 if they end up moving George Russell up.
I think George Russell will be driving a Mercedes if there's moves.
I think the only person that can stop him driving a Mercedes is George Russell. If he can live up to the hype now, and if Williams can give him a car to sort of show what he's
I think he
capable of.
should be all right to smash Latifi.
I was going to say, even driving a shed, he's got to beat Latifi.
I think he'll ruin Latifi. I mean, I was surprised. I was surprised in the tests that what Latifi did, that Kubica was faster than him. I thought at least he would come in and be faster than Kubica.
He looked good on the Friday mornings that he did compared to Kubica's
He's a handsome
times,
man, but that doesn't make him fast, Sean.
You know what I mean, though? Timings-wise, the programme that he ran on the Friday mornings
Yeah.
tended to look quite good, so I don't know if Williams were up to something weird in their
Yeah.
test, or just whatever bits of shit they could find
Yeah,
left
but
in the back
for
of the
whole
garage.
for the whole of the last 2 years, we've not known what Williams are up to. Full
No.
stop.
No.
They're-
I still think they haven't been bad. They haven't, from what we saw in Australia, they improved through the year,
Yeah.
and they were the back end team, but at least they were a Formula One team.
yeah,
The worry is, did they improve that much that they've now forgotten about next year's car and we're going to be back to square one again come February?
I don't know. I mean, I'd think that there's enough transferable that whatever you gain this year, you can gain next year.
I mean, with all the shenanigans that went on at the start of the season with Paddy Lowe going,
No, I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah,
maybe,
seems ages ago, doesn't it?
maybe a bit of stability will over the winter will help him, because I mean he announced that he was going. It was pretty early in the season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I had a feeling it was about this time last year. I think it might have actually been in 2018.
No, it was just after the testing.
Oh, okay. Because we knew he was going for ages before it was confirmed, wasn't it?
I think I can remember seeing Paddy Lowe in a horrible blue fade Williams van.
What, having a sack put over his head
Yeah.
and thrown into the back of it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was after the testing, because the car was late.
Yeah.
Now he wouldn't have just like sod it, I'm off. There would have been things going on.
Something's good. It would be great to find out what's happened there.
Yeah, and I think even he may have been turning up to work every day and he'd already checked out.
Yeah,
and that's why things weren't working as they should with Williams. Because I mean, don't forget they didn't actually turn up until the start of the second test.
No.
So the car wasn't ready. The car wasn't safe. The car wasn't built. The car hadn't passed its crash tests. We don't have the parts. So, there was ructions between the end of the 2018 season.
Rocket?
They're popping up all over the place.
It's now the new title sponsor of W Series.
Yeah.
There've been
possibly
a few
with
other
the Jamie
things they've
Chadwick
turned
connection.
up. I suspect she might have, connected the dots there.
And they make mobile phones and an energy drink
for ladies that looks
ladies.
really masculine.
I find. I mean, I'm not sure what W Series is for now. I know what it's for, but it feels. None of those girls seem any closer to getting to Formula One because they're in W Series. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, Chadwick signed with Williams in the middle of the W Series.
Yeah.
She's doing Asian F3 at the moment with people like Nikita Mazepan and Jack Doohan, who's on the Red Bull program, and who else is in there? Can't remember.
Yeah.
But she's in a reasonable-ish series at the moment. There's a few of them that have gone on to like sports cars and stuff.
Yeah, it just
since that,
I mean, if its job is to make female motor races, that's great. But
to be honest, I think that's what its focus should be for the first few years. Let's get exposure for women racing drivers.
But what worries me
to move so that they've got the chance to move into different series and prove themselves in faster cars, and it gets a step up. And to be honest, any racing series that excludes rich boys playing with daddy's money, I don't care who's behind the wheel. If they're not a rich boy playing with daddy's money, I'm all for that.
I mean, we've got rich girls playing with daddy's money.
I mean, there are a few well-funded.
So I think it's exactly the same thing. No, what I find weird about it is
I think there's a higher percentage of actual drivers in there than kids with playthings.
Yeah, none of them are in there.
I wouldn't go that far.
None of them are in there because of money. They all had to go through this weird kind of testing day beforehand, which looked quite bizarre, but I suppose it does exclude the ones just buying their way in. So.
But what I find funny is, because it had the connection of trying to make a female Formula One driver to start with, but all the women that are in it are kind of like F2 age.
Yeah, there's a couple of younger ones. There's a couple sort of 17, 18-ish.
But it seems like you're gonna have to go from there to F3 or to F2 before anything else happens. I don't know. I think.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm sort of still a bit jury's out on it, but we shall see.
It's a strange plan. I mean, Tatiana Calderon said she's not going to have anything to do with it now.
No,
because it's no good for her career. But she really was a bit crap in F2.
She was. She's doing Asian F3 as well at the moment, I think.
I just think it's time. That's why I'm not against it. I don't. But I just think it's because there was such a big push at that time, and you think, well, it's not. There's nothing wrong with the idea of women coming into motorsport or women driving in motorsport, but you're wanting to force the conveyor belt down a little bit too much. It's as soon as it's there and it's ingrained in people, and you get more females come through, then you're going to get more world-class females come through. But
it's the sort of thing we don't know necessarily how much of an impact that's going to have for maybe sort of 5-10 years.
Exactly.
When girls that are sort of, younger now, maybe
Carting
10,
age.
11.
Sort of,
That's when we'll find out whether it's actually inspired, I suppose. Yeah.
I think that's probably about all the news that there is.
Well,
at the minute, but
I mean, that's more.
Do
than
we want to make
I was
up
going to say we're into the third week of December, and there is actually still
There's
some news.
No, I'm happy with that. That's good.
Right.
Bye.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, click like and subscribe.
Yeah. Join Patreon twice. Cheers.
We are going to do a season review, but we're going to do our season review with all the competitions and predictions and stuff we've got going. Unfortunately, due to sponsorship reasons, we didn't have any prizes because we didn't have any sponsors.
Yep, there you go.
But people will want to know how and what they've done. I'm going to start with Formula Lee. Just quickly, the results of the last race. Top three, Alessandro Popolani was in third, and there's an important reason why he's getting mentioned on this. Kyle Armstrong was second, and Lee's favourite name, Carl Toomey.
Is it? Is that my favourite name?
Well, you said it was last time we mentioned him.
It must have been at some point.
Must be.
Do you have a different favourite each week?
I think he does.
Mr. O'Nasty's always pretty good, isn't it? It's a.
He's had a few different pronunciations.
And why's you camping? Why's you camping when you got a house? I'm a big fan of that.
Oh, in that case, we've got a collection of names in the overall Formula Lee Top 20 for the 2019 season.
I can review our patrons' names if you need me to. We can write an article about it.
You're gonna do it anyway. Right, so Formula Lee, how it works out: one race matching every race during the F1 season with an extra summer break race thrown in.
Yeah.
How many people did we have taking part this year? I've got to scroll down quite a long way on this page. 155 people took part in Formula Lee this
impressive.
year. That is good. So we'll be
it's like 155 ones.
155. Well, yes.
For anyone that follows the NFL, Josh Gordon's been suspended indefinitely again.
Shocking.
He likes weed. It's his fourth ban for taking.
It must be more than 4.
But isn't that daft when it's legal virtually fucking everywhere in America?
As of last week, it's now legal in baseball.
Is it legal in the hometown of the country you play of where
it is?
Yes,
technically.
he plays in Seattle
by the
where
league.
it's legal.
That's ridiculous. And do you know what? If you can be a fucking professional athlete and stoned, fair play. Fair play.
This is the kind of thing that means that we might not get a Russian flag at next year's Russian Grand Prix.
I heard a Polish man today talking about the women's cycling world champion. That's the transgender athlete, and the Polish guy turned around and said, "I can't argue too much." Sorry, he's Russian. The Russian guy said, "I can't argue too much. We've been doing this for years." Right, Formula Lee. 155 people took part. How many people scored points? 75. Wow, that's
fairly widespread. So we're going to keep it going for next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and maybe a winter series starting after the new year.
WC? No, sorry, we can't. Someone else has got that.
There isn't an official video game for that, so we can't do it. We'll have to stick...
Cold series.
No, that'll do. Ice
Is
racing.
Is that what the Russian series?
Formula Chili.
Right, 20th place was Ayrton Antonucci. There's always an Ayrton in the top 20. 19th was Justin Smedley. 18th, Ollie Vestley. 17th, Michael Keller. 16th, Marcel Streich. 15th, Joe Marsh. 14th, Nathan Mazzolo. 13th, Ricky Worrell. 12th...
Joe Marsh sounds like a page 3 girl.
12th was Adam Smith. 11th, Max Williams. Top 10, Alberto Roldan in 10th. Matthew Morrison 9th. Santerio Nasty in 8th. One of your favourite names. Carl Toomey in 7th. They're coming thick and fast here. Pete Bull was 6th. Julian McMahon Hyde 5th. And Weitzer Camping was 4th.
Pretty big on McMahon as well. I can't deny McMahon in there.
Top 3 with 275 points in 3rd place was Kyle Armstrong. 2nd with 401 points was Chris Albee. And taking it with 403 points, which was why it was vital for him in the last race, was Alessandro Popolani.
Wow.
2 points in it after 22 races. Closer than Formula One.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we will kick that off again in the new year.
I can give him a Ben Elton book. I don't really want it.
Did you get that while attending the Ben Elton?
It was part of my prize for what I won when I went to watch him. I thought it was signed. That's why I was going to keep it, but it's not
just a
signed.
random book.
It's just his new book. I won't read it. My book comes in audio form.
Someone's getting that as a Christmas present, aren't they? Someone in your not too close family, sort of distant edge of the.
Ben Elton that much.
I actually used to like Ben Elton.
I like the sci-fi one he did, the with the big wheel on the front of it. I forgot what it was called now.
Don't think I read that one. I gave up on him after I read that one that was based on Big Brother, and I just thought, no, he's gone to shit.
Oh no, I didn't mind that either. I quite like that sort of phase of Ben Elton.
And then there was the X Factor one as well. That was bloody awful.
I don't know about that.
Oh, in the book, Prince Charles won the X Factor.
Tell you what, he'd be a good man for writing a couple of Black Mirrors.
Yeah, that might work.
I feel we've ventured away from F1
We
here.
have. Now then.
Probably.
The prediction league that we ran on the website. Top 3 for each race.
Yeah.
And fastest lap and pole position. Funnily enough, there was only 2 points in this over the course of the season. Levi Shrek, you were third. Chiara Heaney,
Your name's Shrek.
There's an extra C in there as well. I think it's a foreign Shrek. Chiara Heaney, you were second with 101 points, but Jared Fields won with 103.
Oof.
2-point victory.
Tight at the top.
One, and then one that wasn't tight at the top was the podcast predictions.
Oh, I was shit at this.
Yeah, this didn't go well in the end, did it?
No, I don't think so.
No, because Sean, you came fifth.
I didn't even do any random shit like putting in Norris or anything like that. I didn't even go, properly off piste.
No, you got 57 points.
Shocking.
Lee, you weren't last. Sorry, Sean, you were sixth because it was.
Yes.
There was the guessing.
I went crazy at the end, though, didn't I? I tried to win.
I think you started doing like Grosjean and stuff.
You tried to win and failed miserably because you came fifth with 59. Dan was fourth with 61. Chris in third with 66. I got 67 points, and our variety of guests won it with 73. The hive mind has beaten us all.
Now battered by the Borg.
Yep.
So basically, what we've proved over the course of the season is that we're not as good as random people whose names we pick out of a hat to get to do predictions.
They're like our little quantum computer.
Although 2 of this year's predictors were Scarbs and Virtual Statman. They're kind of professional Formula One-y types.
Yeah.
So if you take their results out of it...
To be fair, Scarbs does say he knows fuck all about drivers.
Yeah, but so if you take their results out of it, I've won. For the second year on the trot. Moral victory!
No.
No.
Not having it.
No.
I'm guessing we're going to be doing that again next year.
There's no morals in that victory.
I'm not a moral person anyway, to begin with. So we'll be doing that one again next year,
Yes.
and we'll keep the guests going as well. See if we can actually get revenge.
We like a game.
We do, and we will try our damnedest to organise some prizes for next year. We're on the lookout for sponsors. If put an appeal out now, if anybody wants to sponsor any of the competitions on the show, if you run a company, if you're in a marketing department in a company that wants some promotion, get in touch.
It doesn't have to be Formula One based either. It just has to be cool.
Something of interest.
Yeah.
Something valuable.
3Legs4Wheels@gmail.com, and you can have naming rights to the competition as long as you sponsor the prizes.
Something you can give, we can sell, and then I can give a Ben Elton book.
If the Ben Elton book is the prize for the winter series.
Right. Season review.
On the track stuff.
On actual F1 racy kind of stuff. And I reckon we should do it in our normal way, team by team, from the back.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Because if we do it race by race, well, it's 10 to 10. I'd like to be home before 3 in the morning.
And that involves remembering stuff.
That is true. Whereas we can just talk about each team and what they did right, which is going to be very short for this first one because it's going to be Williams, and we can talk about what they did wrong with their point.
good progression. I think that's the best thing we can say about Williams.
I mean, the best thing to come out of Williams this year was George Russell.
Yes.
Absolutely.
He's proved that he can drive a dog of a car. So, I mean, obviously, he was fastest in testing in the fastest car.
It's also not. It's not the best thing that's come out of Williams this year. Best thing out of Williams proving me right again, because Williams are good at proving me right, and having Kubica back in Formula One was a joke.
He reckons he could come back again.
Yeah, he said this week he's not 100% certain his time on the grid's done.
I am.
I was going to say, I think everybody else is.
I'm inclined to agree with you here, shockingly.
Mind you, he is testing for Haas, though, isn't he?
No, it looks like he's going to be the sim driver for Racing Point. He's got...
there's a bidding war. There's a bidding war over Kubica.
What, is he easier to pack up or something?
Don't know.
It might have been the flu talking, but I'm sure I saw a tweet from Haas saying that they'd signed him.
I thought he'd signed to Haas.
Right,
yeah.
well, you two had the flu at the same time.
Yeah, I might have been hallucinating this, and then that tweet
I'll do a dig.
And then that tweet got deleted.
Right.
But I'm sure I saw a tweet from Haas saying they'd signed him, and then it got pulled really quickly.
Could it have been William Story on the hack?
No, it was actually a Haas tweet, not a Rich Energy tweet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, his arm looks like one of the fucking Rich Energy logos. It's ridiculous.
Hey, saw it on sale on Saturday night. Well, it wasn't on sale.
His arm?
No, Rich Energy. It wasn't on sale because it was a free bar. So literally, the only way that they could get people to drink the stuff was to give it away.
Right. So apparently, as of 3 days ago, Pietro Fittipaldi, who was Haas's test driver this year, has said that he is still waiting on Kubica to find out what he's doing next year.
Right. Okay.
What he's currently doing is being beaten by Tatiana Calderon in F3.
Oh,
Asia.
she can beat somebody in that series.
Yeah, he is last in that series.
Oh my god!
I tell you what, I'm interested to see. I would be interested for him to have tests for Austin, India, and Austin, India sounds like a porn star, and see if he's quicker than Lance Stroll.
Who, Kubica?
Yeah,
or Fittipaldi?
Kubica. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
It'd be like the worst championship race ever.
God, that'd make
two of them,
US 2005 look like Germany this year.
Only two of them in there, and one of them would come third.
But yeah, it was another really crappy year for Williams. They've got to have hit rock bottom now. They've got to be bouncing back, surely.
I think they hit rock bottom in
Australia.
No, in Baku, when everything had gone wrong anyway up until that point, and then just a random grid decided to trash the car.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the car, did it hit something on the way back to the pits?
Oh, it was a manhole cover, wasn't it?
Manhole cover destroyed the car,
George.
And then as it was getting craned back to the pits, a bridge hit
the
it
crane,
or something.
The crane ran into the bridge.
Yes.
And
that, I think, was just... that
was
summed up Williams' 2019 up until that point.
Was it Kubica's car?
No, it
was George Russell's car, because they were worried it had damaged the chassis. And then they were bringing it back, and then when it hit the bridge, they were worried it had damaged the chassis even more.
Right, because Kubica YOLO'd it into the castle bit, didn't he? The first bit of the castle.
Was that not Leclerc?
Yeah, Leclerc, but I think he did it in...
Kubica did it as well.
Kubica did it in FP3, and that's why he didn't do qualifying.
I see. Right.
And then Leclerc did it in qualifying. That's the one that ended up qualifying, finished about an hour and a half later than it was meant to, because qualifying got delayed because they had to rebuild the castle after Kubica had stuck it in the wall, and then rebuild everything around the castle when Leclerc stuck it in the wall.
I know I missed this qualifying session, but
that was it, because that was I'm stupid.
Yeah.
And, that was Leclerc that was stupid.
Yeah, that was Leclerc. He started crying at that race and then didn't stop for the rest of the season.
But all in all, another year to forget for Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you know what? I still believe Haas is the worst team of the year. You know,
they're the ones that actively move backwards, aren't they?
Williams. I don't know whether it was just because of how good George Russell handled a bad year, because every time he was put in front of the media, he said the right things. Mm-hmm. He was always positive about it. He was just happy to be on the grid in Formula One. I think even when it was announced that he had a second year on his contract with Williams,
even that didn't destroy him.
No, but he took the positive of that, where he knew that he was at least secure. You know, where I'm sure Lando felt a bit fucking wobbly for a while.
Every time he gets in a car, I think.
I don't think I don't think it means nothing either that what's her name? Williams, her name, Claire Williams, has been quite suspicious in her absence. She was she was nowhere near the sort of focal point of that team.
She was very quiet.
Yeah.
Williams hadn't had a focal point. I think that's what Paddy Lowe was expected to be.
Yeah.
This time last year, and then of course he's been gone.
I hope they can get. All they need to do, even if they're last, but on the same lap and behind the cars that it's behind Haas or Toro Rosso, whichever one is the cars in front of them. If they can be racing those, that's where we want them to be. If they can skip a couple of them and be sort of in amongst the mid,
to not
mid-grade.
necessarily be last every race.
Yes, that's
yeah. If they can qualify faster than 2 or 3 cars, maybe the odd Q2 appearance.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, George Russell was only, what was it, something like a 10th or a 100th outside of getting into Q2.
Superhuman if he'd done that. Superhuman. There's lots of people like judging what George Russell was doing in that car, even though you couldn't see it. Similar to what Alonso did with McLaren, aren't they?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
That's a new one on me.
Wondered how long it'd be before the first Alonso mention. During the first team.
He's put on some ballast, hasn't he? Fucking hell, he was looking chunky in Abu Dhabi.
I didn't think he looked chunky. I just think he looked thick. Like
generic ballast, I will go with. I'm not claiming that.
I think if you tap that, I think that would be pretty solid.
You go up to Alonso and start poking it.
Lee, you've wanted to tap Alonso for about the last 5 years. Possibly longer.
He's a good-looking man. He is a good-looking man, Alonso. And he's not just like pretty good-looking. He's manly good-looking. And he's got a bit of a stick about him.
Moving swiftly on. I know it's Haas next. They don't move swiftly. Yes. Christ. Yeah, when you're talking...
Not gay for either of these guys.
When you're talking about worst team of the season, I mean, you've got 2 drivers that hate each other. You've got one driver that hates keeping it on the road and loves the barriers.
To be fair to Grosjean, every other driver seems to hate Magnussen.
Yeah, no one likes Magnussen, to be fair.
F1 have even put a video out of drivers slagging Magnussen off on track. I mean, Grosjean is crashy, but he's wall crashy. Magnussen will just try and kill you.
I think Grosjean saved his career by being right about the car.
As it turns out, the car was an absolute dog.
No, but going back to Australia.
Once they went back, there was briefly a hint of something, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Even just in qualifying.
I mean, they were expected to do so much and only scored points in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 races.
Is Grosjean like the barometer of how hard it is to find a good Formula One driver? Now you'll get these certain drivers like Nick Heidfeld or something, which just seem to
just stick around for years and no one's quite sure why.
Because there's loads of racing drivers, but it's very difficult to find one that can work in Formula One.
Possibly, yes.
Are we going to get Romain Grosjean's world of disappointment?
Possibly.
Yeah, it's called the Haas Factory.
Yeah.
Because Grosjean is there over Hülkenberg.
Yeah, great. I see. There's still a bit of me just wonders if there's just something about Grosjean that needs to click. I don't know what it would be.
Going back into a
Lotus.
Lotus.
This point, maybe, but because he's got the speed, I would probably pick him over Magnussen.
I mean, I think Grosjean's main problem is he's got the speed, but he doesn't. I mean, we haven't heard him whinging about brakes this year.
No.
As much. We have heard it a bit.
I think he needs the right sports psychologist.
Yeah, I think you could be right, because he just seems very down about everything.
Because we don't really do driver coaching in Formula One. I know, what's his name? Jackie Stewart had a go at it, didn't he, with him? But I think there's a difference between an ex-Formula One driver being like a driver coach than there is an actual sports psychologist trying to sort out what's going on inside your
Lance
head.
Stroll's been through a few of these as well, hasn't he? He keeps having like ex-drivers turn up in his garage as a coaching capacity.
What was it? Jackie Stewart was taking
It's not work, Daddy, burn him.
When Lance Stroll was at Williams, he was taking old cars and running them on F1 circuits, and he had Jackie Stewart coaching him for a while. I mean, a driver coach will tell you where your ideal braking point should be.
Yeah.
And what line to take through a corner. A sports psychologist will say things like, you are actually good enough to have made it into Formula One. For fuck's sake, will you stop whinging?
Well, it's not even that. It's actually breaking down what your problems are and then giving you the mental tools to work through a weekend is what I think he needs.
That's the first time in the almost 20 years I've known you where you said the words mental tool and not describing somebody as a mental tool. But yeah, I think...
I mean, to be fair, we are talking about Grosjean.
Yeah, that is completely nullified now. Yeah. But yeah, I think Grosjean's obviously got the ability because he's been fast and he's been up at the front end.
He was racing with Kimi and stuff when they were in Lotus.
Is it 8 podium he's got? Something like that.
So, you know, the ability's there, the speed's there, he can handle a car. But is he one of these drivers where if everything isn't 100% perfect, then it's shit?
Yes, I think he is definitely
one of those. It's all or nothing.
Which and that might be accentuated in Haas. Yeah, I don't know why I said it like that.
Haas.
I don't.
To be fair, was Grosjean not saying it arse for about the first 6 months because in the French they don't really go for the h.
No,
that is true. I mean, as far as Magnussen's problem, Magnussen is Magnussen's problem.
Yes.
I'm
bad tattoos are Magnussen's problem.
I am stunned that they've kept both drivers.
Yeah, I mean, on the face of it, I suppose Magnussen's had the better year. Did he finish ahead in the points? I'd have thought so.
Have a look.
Less far back rather than ahead.
Yeah, Magnussen finished on 20 points and Grosjean finished on 8.
Yeah.
So 16th.
So hang on, is that
18th.
not just their race numbers? Is that actually their points?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But like Haas had such a bad year. Like they had a bad car this year. They had a car they didn't understand. They had tyres they couldn't get along with. They had whatever Ferrari was giving them. You know,
apparently Magnussen next year he's changing his number to 414.
Good move.
Grosjean's changing it to 2.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what Haas do next year. Do you think it's like with going into 2021, is it a defining year for Haas?
Well, that's the thing because we've talked about 2020 being a throwaway season. And is the 2020 car going to be... They can't make the 2020 car an evolution of this year's. Because even in Gunter Steiner's words, we don't know how it works.
Well, this is the problem is they don't make the cars,
That's the thing. It's in kit form. And they bought the car from Motor Racing IKEA, but the instructions are in Swedish and Magnussen only speaks Danish.
See, that's when it comes to 2021 for them as well. Is that Dallara going to start making cars to the new spec?
Well, they'll have to.
They're going to have to if they're
going to. Or going to have to build their own chassis.
Because I'm just thinking it seems a big investment for Dallara to go down that road of building like a car for a new formula. So it.
I've just thought of the worst pun going, but well, I mean, Haas buying all the bits of the car and building it themselves, so they've got the glueless kit and it's driven by a pair of clueless gits. I said it was a bad pun.
I'm not sure it's a pun.
Or is it just a fact?
I think it's just a fact. I think it's a sentence. That.
What's happening next?
What's happening next is Haas need to, can we say, build a better car, design a better car, and hope that their various component builders can actually make the parts that they can put together in a car that doesn't shred its tyres after half a lap, or manages to get the tyres up to temperature within 3 weeks of actually starting the race.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting for them next year because I do really think if they have a bad season next year, that might be the last time we see Haas.
I mean, Gene Haas could just pull his money out and piss off.
Why would you keep doing it? Like, you are literally just putting money into an empty pit.
Yeah. Obviously, the whole... I don't want to mention this too much, but the whole sponsor thing can't have helped.
Yeah.
That will have caused so much bad morale in the team.
Yeah.
With Beardy Twat.
Nothing else.
And every other team that Rich Energy were in negotiations with are now thinking, that is one fucking bullet dodged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's always that, though, isn't there? There's always this sponsor that comes into Formula One and you go, wonder if the money's actually there for this.
Yeah, I mean,
apparently the money was there, but fucking unfortunately there was a lunatic with it.
you can't legislate for lunatics.
You can't.
No.
Alfa Romeo up next. Basically a Sauber in 8th place.
Yeah.
Really solid year for Kimi.
Yeah.
All right, not as good as we were bigging him up to be at the start of the season because
tapered off a bit in the middle, did he not?
he had a bit of a drop.
Well, yeah, possibly the car.
Yeah.
But not Grosjean. What's the other one's name?
Giovinazzi.
He seemed to go the other way. He seemed to really find his feet a bit more after the summer break.
You
said tapered off in the middle of the season. It was actually after the summer break that Kimi had his bad run. Because
that's kind of the middle of the season.
Yeah, he scored points in Hungary and then didn't score anything again until Brazil.
Mm.
So he had that huge block, and the car fell away. Is that when they stopped developing the car or putting everything into the development of the car and started looking at next year's?
That is very likely,
probably.
I would think.
But I mean, Giovinazzi did look decidedly shaky at the start of the season.
I think he looked. He was better towards the end of the season, but if you take Stroll out of it, he was the worst driver of the season,
including Kubica.
I don't know. and to be fair, the fact I don't know kind of makes it null and void. So yeah, he seemed like, for want of better words, Kubica was a sideshow, but he felt like a waste of
sideshow Bob.
I think he could have gone down the road of, because he was a bit under pressure and there were the questions about whether or not he'd have his seat again for this year. He could have gone down the route of just sticking it in barriers and wiping people out by trying too hard, the sort of the Kvyat route.
But he was battered by Kimi, and we've seen with Kimi with Vettel that Kimi's not Kimi.
Yeah, but he did seem to show some kind of progression.
But was it Formula One driver progression?
Not sure.
The thing is, he's the best that Ferrari have got that isn't in a red car.
Well, you just don't have a Ferrari driver in there.
This is why they've got 5 drivers in F2 next year, because they're desperately hoping one of them shows up.
Like, what's the point? What's the point of keeping him in there? What
else are they going to do with it?
Because what you could do is take a proper driver in there, i.e. a Hulkenberg, for fucking instance. Hulkenberg has a cracking year, for instance. Let's say something does implode in Ferrari, then you've still got a driver you can put in Ferrari. It doesn't need to be someone you're bringing through your young driver program. At the minute, what have they got in the car? They've got Giovinazzi. Is he ever going to make a Ferrari? Not unless he buys one. He's not going to make a Formula One Ferrari.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but I think Ferrari are doing that as a placeholder. Basically, we could
hold it with a decent driver.
He's Danny Kvyat.
Oh, he's not as bad as Danny. He's better. Danny Kvyat's better than him.
He's in the Toro Rosso, but he's never going to get back in that Red Bull.
I don't think either. I think him or Gasly will get back in Red Bull.
But yeah, I think Giovinazzi is in a similar position. He's in the Sauber because there was no one else to tell the Alpha, because there was no one else to take that seat.
Hulkenberg!
I don't think that it undermines their driver program, though, doesn't it? It's the same reason he's not in the Red Bull.
Ferrari have really
does that.
Ferrari have really ramped up their young driver program.
They have a
recently.
quarter of the F2 grid next year.
Oh yeah, no, they're obviously looking for a driver. That's obvious.
I mean, don't forget. The saying was Ferrari don't make drivers, they buy them in.
But why not?
Now they've realised they're going to need to make some drivers.
But why not make Sauber the best Sauber you can get it for when you get a driver in?
which I think will happen in 2021
But
because
you're going to lose Kimi next year.
Kimi retires at the end of the year.
So they're going to need 2 drivers.
So they're going to need 2 drivers. Ferrari have got 5 in F2.
But then you're going to go into 2021 where everyone doesn't know, it's fucking rolling dice as to what the fuck's going to happen there with no experienced Formula 1 driver in the team.
Maybe that's the plan for Giovinazzi.
It sounds like
Hold
a very
the hand of
fucking
the new
Ferrari
guy.
plan, I'll give it that.
It is the kind of logic they would come up with.
You know, they keep Giovinazzi in the team for 2021 and they see if he gets destroyed by Mick Schumacher or Callum Ilott or
Robert
Schwartzman or...
Jake Hughes,
Yeah.
is he one of them?
Yeah, he's-
Mick
the
Schumacher's
lazy
in
Mick
boy.
Schumacher's an interesting one. How do we feel he's going to get on next year?
It's make or break for him because if he has... He didn't have a bad season in F2 because
Captain
he
8th
was
place,
a rookie.
though. Every time I turned F2 on, he seemed to be in 8th.
Yeah, he was definitely.
He's
sort
the
of
new
lower end of
Markelov.
points.
Which is going to be interesting watching him and Markelov fight for 8th place in the next F2
To be
season.
fair, at least Markelov was crazy.
He's good to watch,
sometimes.
isn't he?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, Markelov is an absolute nutter.
It's
So.
like he'd be last, and what? He's 3rd.
He's 3rd, and why is everybody else on fire? Yeah, it's a make or break season for Mick Schumacher really because he's got to be winning races, multiple, just to prove that he's not there because of his name and he's there because of his ability as well as his name. Obviously, the name's going to help, and the fact that Ferrari own him now, and they're stealing him from Mercedes, which was the same thing that they did with his dad, and I think they're going to be pushing for him to be in the Alpha in 2021.
Absolutely.
But he's got a lot of work to do to prove that he's good enough to be in it. And I think he's got more to do than any of the other Ferrari F2 drivers because he's got to live up to the name as well.
I think he'll be in that. I think he will be in Formula 1 regardless of how he does next year.
I don't know. He's got to finish top of all 5 Ferrari drivers in F2.
No, I don't think so. I think it just for the name alone. I think they will want that just for the Ferrari's commitment to the Schumacher brand and legacy.
If Robert Schwartzman beats him in the championship, then he would have the better sort of title because he comes with the F3 title, which Schumacher had European F3. Did he not?
Yeah.
So if Schwartzman finishes ahead of him in the championship, you would argue that that is the better driver.
I can't help but feel that Dan Tickton might have had a point for the European F3 thing. Now after watching him do a whole season in F2.
All of a sudden he gets good.
Yeah, because I've forgotten what Dan Ticktum's argument was.
He accused him of cheating, didn't he?
Fair enough.
Basically.
He accused European F3 of making F
Of
easier.
tinkering with the car to suit.
Yeah,
Okay.
became F Schumacher.
Yeah, and because I still fancy Dan Ticktum of getting himself into Formula 1.
No.
He's tenacious and he will keep trying no matter what. Is he confirmed back in F2 next year?
Nick De Vries
I
is
don't
there.
think so.
Yes, he is. He's Carlin.
I'm
Facts.
not sure
Definitely,
he
he's
is.
definitely back in F2. I think he'll win the championship.
Good lord.
That is a bold prediction. We should start doing more F2 next year.
Yeah.
I like the F2. It's a good watch.
But going back to Alpha.
Or it might be Art. It's either Art or Carlin. It's a good team.
He is with Dams.
Oh, is it Dan?
Alongside Sean Galeal. There's 2 drivers that could drive
God.
into each other professionally.
So somebody that's been binned off the Red Bull program and somebody that's on the Red Bull program only when his dad pays enough chicken money for that weekend.
I think Dan Ticktum's got something. Like I said, I think he'll be back in Formula 1.
Attitude mainly.
He's a fucking kid.
He's what, 22, 23 now?
He's 20.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's 20.
and when he did his shit, he was what 17. He was a fucking kid. You can't.
Oh no,
hold
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he's like he used to be, but he still lets his mouth run away with him.
He's British. He's definitely got that British confidence about him.
British confidence.
British confidence, what the fuck is that?
No.
But like the laddie, like British lad confidence.
Yeah.
He's definitely got a chunk of that with him.
So as he drives past you shouting lager, 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 you know who's coming.
Yeah.
Right, okay, I get you. Going back to Alpha, they really need to. I think they need to step things up and not have that drop off again next year.
I think they'll be exactly where they are. I don't think. I think the teams are naturally settling again. I think you've got McLaren going back up to where it should be. That's why Toro Rosso was signed there. I think Toro Rosso and Alfa Romeo will be keeping each other pretty close company.
Yeah, I'm not sure who Alfa Romeo could catch, really, to sort of progress forward.
Better than Haas, but maybe not better than many more.
I mean, Haas have got every chance. We've seen what they've done. They've had one bad year, essentially, since they've come into Formula One. There's every reason that they could be like top of that pack.
They could be aiming for 5th.
Yeah, I mean,
Formula 1.6.
If they can figure out how to work these tyres that are going to be the same as last year.
I think they'll have a struggle to keep up with Renault or McLaren.
Well, Renault are claiming they were artificially low. We'll get to them in a bit. It's Racing Point next. We always talk about binary performances from teams, and I think this is the ultimate in
absolutely
the binary team.
Yeah.
73 points, 52 of those were from Perez.
Perez had a really long run without points as well. Like, he went missing in the middle of the year.
Yeah, he went from Spain to Hungary without scoring.
Yeah.
The main issue with Racing Point, and we've already said it, is Lance Stroll qualifying. Because, all right, Stroll can be all right in a race, but he's putting himself at a massive disadvantage by starting...
It's only certain races as well.
6 or 7 grid slots down where he should be. So that's 6 or 7 cars he's got to get past. And you can't always guarantee to be able to do that.
And he's nowhere near Perez. And like you say, you talk about binary, fucking hell, you program their fucking results into basic and you're going to get like a text adventure come out.
Take gold. You now have gold. Yeah, I mean, Stroll, the main criticism of him that we've said since Williams is that he's great on a circuit where it's stick your foot down, brake, turn 90 degrees, stick your foot down.
Yeah.
Give him a long corner.
Yeah, give him a track which takes skill, is what you're trying to say.
Basically, yes.
Yeah, he just doesn't have it.
No.
Whatever it is.
He's not a Formula
entirely
1
sure.
driver.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's to say, I don't think there's a massive difference between him and Giovinazzi.
Put him in a car and he'll drive it all day, so send him to WEC. I've already said this.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, there's something lacking. I mean, he's been in Formula 1 now that's his 3rd season, isn't it? He did two with Williams, 1 with Racing Point.
He's a lucky boy. He's got money behind him because this isn't the 90s anymore. Drivers don't just get 3 seasons to sort themselves out in Formula 1.
No.
Yeah, Stoffel being
Yes.
a prime example.
Prime example.
Yeah, if he didn't have all the money in Canada that the Latifi family don't own, then we will be talking about somebody else, Hulkenberg being Perez's teammate next year.
Yeah.
And waste of a seat, it's heading that way.
I don't think it's heading that way. I think he is a waste of a seat.
I thought there was a chance for him to improve this year in a better car than the Williams.
Also, he had a better teammate as well. So that's the other thing, is the gulf has widened between him and his teammate.
Yeah, because I mean, he was keeping up with Sirotkin, but Sirotkin
wasn't a Formula 1 driver.
No.
He had a massive bag of cash.
Yeah.
Not quite as big as Stroll's, but
probably a decent test driver.
But when you look at as well, Stroll took Ocon's seat. Ocon looked quite good next to Perez.
yes.
So
yeah.
Perez is not
par.
unattainable.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't run into each other without being as quick as each
yes,
other.
there is that.
Yeah. Well, you see that again. That's why I think I'm confused at the hype around Ocon, because I like Perez. I think he's a perfectly fine mid-grid driver. World Championship material. He is not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Perez, I think we like Perez. He is entertaining, but yeah.
I still maintain it was that season at McLaren that completely destroyed him.
I think you're right.
I think it might have
he's
more
got
just
over it.
shown us his level.
It's taken him a while to get back, and he's now at the level that he would have been the season after McLaren if he'd have stayed at Sauber. If that makes any sense. He's lost half a dozen years.
Yeah.
and now he's coming back, but he's only got the ability to be in a mid-grid team, and I don't think he'll progress further than that, which he would have done if he hadn't have been through the Ron Dennis meat grinder.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he gave up a place in the Ferrari driver academy to go to McLaren. This is how top teams thought of him in what was it, 2012?
Yeah.
So you've got Ferrari backing you, and another team, World Championship winning team, comes in and says, "We want you," and it's like, I think it was just too much too soon for him. And now he's at the level that he would have been if he hadn't have had that McLaren year.
Yeah, he's Kvyat because it was the same thing. McLaren lost Lewis Hamilton and had to panic. And panic bought a Mexican.
It's the worst idea for a takeaway ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Racing Point need to. They can't address the driver problem though while Daddy Stroll is there.
Daddy Stroll's no fool, and
I
He
really
has made
hope
his
he
money
isn't.
somehow, hasn't he? It's not by being an idiot.
yeah. And one thing I do think you can see is like when you go to Daddy Stroll, he's very involved with the team.
He's
You know,
always there.
Yeah, he's a. I mean, maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but he seems to enjoy being in Formula One just as much as his son enjoys being in Formula One.
I mean, when he was with Williams, you saw him in the garage, and he was actually wearing team gear quite a lot of the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and he seemed to be an active part of the operation.
Yes, so
I mean, all right, he was bankrolling the team to the tune of however much he was paying to get Lance in the car.
yeah. I mean, again, that could be a bad thing when you've got someone that's so financially tied to the team that has their son in the car. It might be detrimental, but they didn't. They got the car sorted out in the end, so it can't be that bad.
I mean, all right, they went into this year on the back foot because when they would have been starting to develop the 2019 car, they were too busy going bust
Yeah,
as Force India. Now they've had 18 months under the current ownership, and they've had this year's development time uninterrupted to make next year's car. It's going to be an interesting season for them, and we'll talk more about this when we do the previews, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And if it's still binary with Perez getting the vast majority of the points, then
I think it's exactly what it'll be.
Daddy Stroll is going to have to make some serious decisions.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it's going to be, and especially with if they get the Aston Martin branding and that team is running, because we don't know how it'll work yet, but I would imagine if he does buy into Aston Martin and they do use it, you will just get a team Aston Martin.
It could be that they rename the whole thing.
Yeah. And if there will be more of a spotlight on there. I know it's not going to be Austin with an Austin engine and stuff like that, but they will all of a sudden.
It might be in 2021. It's not been ruled out. New engine suppliers in 2 years in a year's time.
Yeah.
But this is essentially what happened to Ericsson last year. Is Alfa Romeo badged up the Sauber?
Yeah.
They wanted to get a Ferrari owned driver in. He went.
Yeah.
It's good. There's going to be a lot to look out for with them.
Is Austin still a British company?
It's kind of ish, sort of.
Kind of
yeah,
ish.
sort of.
Wonder if they'd want a British driver in there for Union Jack purposes.
They own Jamie Chadwick.
Do they?
They do.
It's interesting. I don't think she'll make it to Formula One.
They
in a
also
driver
own Alex
capacity.
Brundle.
He's definitely making it to Formula One.
No, they have a rostrum of sort of British drivers, but
Well, you got who's your man in it's Renault driver?
Jack Aitken.
Yeah.
I think he's missed his
been
moment.
You think he's been knocking on the door too long?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he might be out of the way. And I think is he the only British driver in F2 next year?
No.
Dan Tickton.
Oh, Dan Tickton as well.
I think
they could,
one of the Ferrari ones
Aston,
is British
Aston
as well.
could take it. Callum Eilert.
That's the one.
Of course, yeah, but I mean, Aston Martin could take an interest in Dan Tickton because he
At the moment,
Red
Jack
Bull
Aitken
connection?
actually doesn't have a confirmed drive
Oh, does
for
he
F2
not?
next year, but he
Wow.
was late last year as well.
Right, okay.
I was
Half
gonna-
the teams haven't confirmed their entry yet, so...
Who would you say
Most-
was Dams? He's Tictum's driving for.
Tictum is with Dams alongside Galale.
Most of the F2 teams didn't actually announce the lineup until after the pre-season test.
They wait to see, don't you? You wait to see who's about.
Yeah.
Who's
Who
available?
does
who's,
well
who's
in
not going
winter
off into another
series.
series? And
Yeah.
Who's got the
as well,
sponsorship?
who to save as well? I think.
Yeah.
Because there's
Wait and see who's got the checks.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams helping drivers like get caught, so they don't end up falling out of a single seater. Like
I think
environment.
Albon was that last year. He didn't have a confirmed F2 drive at the start
No,
of
he had
that
to
year.
jack a Formula E drive in, didn't he?
signed for.
Well,
signed for,
no. At the start of the F2 season last year, he didn't have a seat.
Oh, was it going into Formula One? He
Yeah,
jacked
before his
right,
Formula.
okay.
Yeah, he hadn't. You're
talking 2018.
2018, yes. So yeah, going into 2018, he didn't have an F2 drive. He picked up a one race thing because I think someone had a heavy crash
Right. Okay.
and did enough in that one to sort of force his way back in.
Interesting.
So we're going to see stuff like that in
Oh,
F2.
yeah.
I mean, you've got to get the there's the New Zealand, what is it, Tasman series or whatever it's become now out of the way,
Yeah.
because that is like a proving ground for a lot of F2 drivers. Because Lando did that before he went into F2.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have that. You have Asian F3. You have MRF Challenge, which is sort of like Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, all the that
sort of
neck of the
Emirates
woods.
end.
There's a couple of sort of interesting-y winter series.
I don't understand. Like when you look at Force India, at what point? Oh, fuck! He did it again. Oh God! Please become Aston Martin.
They will rebrand themselves Aston Martin in 2021, and you will start calling them Racing Point
Probably.
that day.
No. I think I'd go with Aston Martin. I think my brain would remember that.
Can we just call them Jordan and have done with it?
Yes, we can call them Jordan.
Jordan Midland Spiker.
Yeah, Benetton. No, it's not Benetton.
No, that's Renault.
Yeah. I wonder how much progression the teams can make, because, like, with such big changes coming, do you can't afford to McLaren and Ferrari in 2008. Because they destroyed 2009, and it's not just destroying yourself for the next year. It could be destroying yourself for 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that whole generation.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
I mean, Red Bull they haven't really challenged for a title.
No, it's in the whole
this whole
hybrid.
series,
Well, no
yeah.
one's challenged for a title.
Well,
really.
No, that was the thing. Nobody knew that Mercedes were going to build the hybrid that was completely unbeatable.
Yeah. So I don't think there's going to be as much shuffling around this year as people want there to be. I don't think it's going to be as tight as people want it to be either.
Possibly not. Although Renault, who we'll get to fully in a bit, have claimed that they're in an artificially bad position because of everything that went wrong for them. But
That's just how standings work. Stuff goes wrong, you're near the bottom. Stuff goes good, you're near the top.
Yeah.
This is going to sound slightly racist, but it does seem like a very French response to their situation.
Well, no, it's the standard Cyril, a lot of bull. but it's Toro Rosso next anyway. Up to 6th, mainly because of 2 podiums.
Yeah.
Yes, shocking.
You know, who would have thought at the start of the season?
Oh, is that what they mean by artificial position?
Yeah.
Right, I'll give them that.
But those podiums were there for Renault, though. Hulkenberg could have quite easily got a podium in Germany, but put it in a fence.
That was like throwing 8-sided dice around.
Yeah,
Well,
but
What, he
yeah.
was playing Dungeons and Dragons?
Absolutely.
Maybe that's where he was going wrong.
Yeah. So, yeah, I kind of get why they're not upset too much about Toro Rosso getting in front of them. Toro Rosso.
Well, Toro Rosso
No,
didn't
Toro
get in
Rosso
front of them. Toro Rosso finished 6th, Renault finished 5th.
Oh, right,
But there were
okay.
podiums that were available for Renault to get.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Toro Rosso, the usual, the Red Bull organisation going back to their roots by chopping and changing drivers.
Yeah.
And
Worked, though.
It worked.
Yeah, I think it
'cause-
suited everyone.
Yeah. Gasly is far better in the Toro Rosso than he was in the Red Bull. Now, whether that's down to the lack of pressure
I think there's lack of pressure.
and the lack of a teammate who is being tipped to win every other race.
I don't even think it's just that. It's being able to handle like, where's this extra time come from? Like, what am I doing wrong? Why is he half a second quicker than me? I think you can see it in certain drivers where Bottas, for instance, I don't think Bottas understands where Lewis Hamilton's extra pace is from. Whereas Albon seems to be taken a bit better from Max.
Yeah. I think Albon is a more complete driver.
Yes, I'd go with that.
And I mean, he had a fairly okay-ish start to the season.
Yeah.
When
Who's
he was
this,
in Toro Rosso. Albon.
Very good sort of last 3 or 4 races before the switch, I seem to recall.
I mean, the switch was Belgium, wasn't it?
Yes, it was after Hungary.
So he did. He'd scored points in 5 races up to Hungary, but more importantly, the last 2 races before the summer break. The sixth in Germany, even though he was being hit by the guy he ended up replacing.
Yeah.
And 10th in Hungary, and then moved into the big boy team. But yeah, he was looking pretty solid at the start. Kvyat, kind of up and down, really.
I think he had a decent season.
He had a phase where he just seemed to keep rear-ending people on the last lap of the race and getting a 5-second time penalty.
Yeah, there was two races.
Very
What was it?
2017 Kvyat.
Yeah, what was it? Mexico.
Did he hit Albon? Was it Albon?
It was Perez in Mexico, I seem to recall.
Didn't he do a Red Bull in as well? Didn't he do a teammate, either a teammate or a full fat Red Bull?
It might have been Gasly.
Was it Gasly in the Red Bull?
Did he hit Hulkenberg into Gasly?
Yes. Yeah, that sounds.
Or
that sounds
something
about
along
right.
those kind of lines.
I thought he went clean into a Red Bull.
And if it wasn't for the checkered flag shenanigans, because
He'd
that got
got away.
that got
Yeah.
Perez the points.
Yes.
Because he didn't finish what everyone thought was the last lap, but it turned out he'd finished. And
The only time I remember Kvyat, in fact, no, that wouldn't be a Red Bull at all. Ignore me. I was going to say, I remember Ricciardo reversing into him in Baku.
Yes.
That was stunning.
Remember that.
But I don't remember Kvyat wiping out a Red Bull, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
No. It's very much on brand.
Yeah,
I mean,
there are too many Kvyat
we
shenanigans
had hints
to
of the
remember them all.
torpedo, but for his comeback season,
I think he did all right.
Yeah, he earned his drive for next year, I think.
Yeah, he did a good job. I mean, he finished 13th in the championship, and what was his points? 37 out of Toro Rosso's 85. So
All right.
Not dire.
Just under half of
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it's
it wasn't a mistake bringing him back from a racing point of view, but like you say, he's bloody unlikely to end up back in a Red Bull.
Yeah, I think so.
But he's been a good advert for Danny Kvyat, and if there's another team out there that needs a decent driver, a mid-grid team, he's your man if Toro Rosso is going to be the Red Bull development thing again, rather than we own two teams, let's juggle some drivers.
Yeah.
But I don't understand what Toro Rosso is at the moment, or AlphaTauri as they're about to be.
No, I
Yes.
don't understand.
Clothing sales technique.
Yeah, they are there to bring drivers up to Red Bull, but Red Bull have got two young drivers.
This is exactly the same thing that happened with Vettel and Webber, isn't it? You had, because they had such a long tenure together in Red Bull. They just,
You missed
the
like
meat
Vern
grinder
and
was
Hartley
in full
and
production.
Buemi.
Yeah.
They all just dropped out because there wasn't anywhere for them to
Vern,
go. Vern.
Yeah.
who's turned out to be quite the driver, now as far as Formula E goes.
And of course, let's not forget Sebastian Bourdais. Oh, hang on,
We could forget
everybody's
Sebastian
forgotten
Bourdais,
Sebastian Bourdais, including IndyCar, because he's out of a job.
It is
Remember
almost
Jaime
funny.
Alguersuari?
Oh,
That was another
yeah.
one.
I thought Al-Jawari was better than he deserved more than he got.
Did he retired to be a DJ or something,
Yeah.
didn't he? He
Yeah.
went down that neck of the woods.
He's quite cool as well. He's doing really well. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Albers, Clean, Doorknobs. He was in Toro Rosso for a bit, wasn't he?
Liuzzi.
Oh, but some quality names that have been put through the meat grinder. You know that was in the days when Toro Rosso was the young driver proving ground, and they were proving that they didn't really have any good young drivers.
When David Coulthard was ready to retire, they dragged an extra couple of years out of him.
we haven't got anybody else. Well, I want to quit. Here's 10 million for your charity.
I will give you a white car once.
For 2 corners.
Yeah.
One other thing about that was Coulthard was wearing a helmet cam in that Brazilian Grand Prix that's never been trialled out since because it was in the chin area.
Is it because he had extra room for it?
I think they had to make the helmet bigger to fit his chin. The camera is actually embedded in the chin.
It wasn't like a small camera; it was actually like a full-on red 8K HD camera.
But yeah, not a bad season for Toro Rosso. I mean, how can it be a bad season for a team that isn't one of the big 3 and they get 2 podiums?
Best year apart from the year that Vettel won a race for them, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's their 2nd and 3rd ever podiums. Yeah. So they have now filled every step of the podium in their 3 races. In the 3 races that they've done it, and they proved that the Honda engine worked in 2018 because they were the guinea pig for Red Bull. Yeah. And it's carried on working for them, and they're getting a decent car out of it.
It sounds stupid, this, doesn't it? But when you've got Red Bull, which is like a full-on proper Formula One team, know that they can challenge for wins, possibly for championships in the near future. Have won championships in the past. Same with Ferrari when it comes to Alfa Romeo. Wouldn't think that when you're that tied to a big team, that you'd at least be a regular podium scorer if you were the junior team?
I think the problem there is the F1 rules because you're not.
They're very restricted on how much information.
No, but if Red Bull as an organisation knows how to build a Formula One team, you'd think it would build a better B team because they know how to do it. It's not like Force India, for instance. Like all the money's there. Red Bull have all of the money. So, is it just that there's a certain budget they can give them?
I think they do give them a fairly slim budget compared to a lot of the rest of the grid.
Why wouldn't you give them more?
Don't know.
Especially if you're Red Bull, especially if you've got all that money. Or is it one of those situations where you go, if we've got 100 million extra guys, it's going in there into the full fat team.
I mean, Red Bull looked like they were giving Toro Rosso more money this year by being their title sponsor. Because it was Aston Martin Red Bull and Red Bull Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
So maybe they snuck a little bit of extra money, and that was some kind of loophole.
Maybe
because maybe, and I don't know this for certain, but this is just sort of conjecture here. But maybe there's something in the sporting code about running B teams or development teams where the one company
they've got to be self-funded.
Yeah.
Officially, you're not allowed a development team.
Yeah. So Red Bull threw all the money they could as a title sponsorship deal into Toro Rosso. We could see the results from that next year, and maybe with the money that they're getting from their title sponsor, the ability to hire better staff, get better facilities. They're still in the old Minardi factory as well, so that's not going to be the most technically advanced F1 factory on the planet.
No.
They've got like a random wind tunnel on some industrial estate near Silverstone as well, haven't they?
Yes.
Like just in like a random unit.
Yeah, the car's built in Faenza and then shipped over to Oxfordshire.
See, that can't be ideal.
You wouldn't have thought so.
No.
Yeah, it's the same situation as Haas, isn't it? Because everything's built by Dallara in Italy and then shipped over to Silverstone.
Yeah.
Or what is it? Banbury, where Haas are.
Yeah.
That rings a bell.
And although Haas have been using a wind tunnel in France apparently this year. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Let's just move on to Renault.
Yes.
Let's do.
D- must try harder.
Definitely.
Is Danny Rick kicking himself?
Absolutely.
I would say so.
Has he screwed up his career, and that's the chances of him being in a race-winning car gone for good now?
Almost certainly.
He might get lucky with a retirement.
The shake around next year.
Yeah.
But he needs a good year.
He needs to put himself back on that sort of market, doesn't he?
But there seems to be something in that Renault that's stopping Danny Rick be Danny Rick and do Danny Rick things.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of a portent for the year when he didn't even make it to turn one in Melbourne with a full car because he hit the grass verge that was lumpy and ripped the front wing off.
Yeah.
and that was a sign
That
for
was
how the
it
rest
then,
of the
really,
year was going
wasn't
to
it?
go.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he finished 9th on 54 points, which, all right, more than 50% of what the team got. They finished. The team finished on 91. After, of course, the disqualification in Japan for.
Yeah, but that's only just more than 50% of what the team got, and the other guy has been fired, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder.
And, of course, he lost points in France as well for the... Was it an overtake? Was it not an overtake?
I wonder if he regrets not going to McLaren. Because that's the other thing. We're saying I wonder if he regrets where he's done. But, I mean, when he's upset about where the team is, I'm pretty sure he can cheer himself up by thinking, oh, yeah, I signed a $70 million deal.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that sort of is a nice comforter.
Yeah, it'll keep him warm at night.
So, I'd like to see him back in another team. Maybe Red Bull isn't like a complete out there bet if Max decides to move on. But I don't see where he's going to land unless he has a better season than he's had. It's almost like Vettel, in it. Like he's not imploded like Vettel has.
No.
But he didn't really blow the doors off Hulkenberg, and he should have done. Like if he was World Championship material, like we think he is.
Yeah, difficult one to judge, I think.
But I mean, it was a bad year all round for the team, and I placed the blame squarely at Cyril Abitable's door because he just seems absolutely freaking useless.
Why are there no rumours about him being fired either? That just doesn't seem to be happening.
No idea, because he's just. I mean,
if it was a football team, he'd be gone.
Oh yeah.
Oh hell yeah! Bring Eric Boulier back.
Oh hell no.
Ooh, hang on. Calm down.
Well, if they want somebody French as team principal, he's the only one I can think of. Then again,
You're better off getting Gerard Depardieu in.
Well, talking of noses of that size, Prost is now a director of the racing team, and is he just there in the background to remind a beatables? Remember when these cars used to win races?
I think he's going to end up as team principal, and I'm not sure that's a great idea either. Because he's already had a go at it. Prost weren't covered in trophies.
True.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's a good move, but something needs to. I've got a funny feeling Renault are going to pull out. Not as an engine supplier. I think they'll stay
as a constructor.
Yeah.
Do you know why that is?
Because they do it
because they're in Formula One at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, Renault are in Formula One for one reason and one reason only, and that is
quit.
to pull out of Formula One.
Yeah. Saying that, I mean, they've got a deal with Ocon for 2 years, haven't they? He's signed up for 2021.
Yes.
Which suggests they're
going to have a car. Quit. They're not going to quit until 2022, or they're going to leave Ocon without a contract for another year.
Yeah, but I wouldn't imagine that a team would put all that money into developing for 2021 and then pull out the year after.
It really depends on how much of a dog the 2021 car turns out to be. If they end up building another shed, then they could very easily say, "Oh fuck this, I'm off."
Well, there's all talk, isn't there, about Alonso going back there in 21?
Is there?
Yeah.
That's a new one on me.
Mainly from him.
No, that was the talk was that was his most likely destination if he came back to Formula One.
Okay, not come across that one, but
I still don't think he's going to come
back.
No,
I'm very unconvinced.
I think he'll be back in Formula One.
We're going to carry on arguing over this for the next 12 months at least.
Well, I hope so as well. I mean, especially like if he goes out and wins the fucking Dakar as well. You know, he'll have done fucking exceptional in everything else he's tried.
It'll be him and Carlos Sainz battling for Dakar this year. Senior.
Yeah.
Senior's pretty boss at it, to be fair.
He's won it 3 or 4 times. Yeah. And coming second to the dad of the kid who replaced you.
Yeah, I'd be the other one.
That's like the worst school sports day ever.
I would still be fucking worried to be either Lando or Carlos Sainz, because that Alonso figure never fucking goes away from McLaren.
Yeah, he's like the bloody spectre of doom hanging over him.
Well, the thing is, he's still one of the best drivers in the world. He still should be in Formula One.
But he threw a strop because he wasn't winning everything and walked.
I don't think he threw a strop. I think when you look at what McLaren gave him, I think he was exceptionally, like, knowing Alonso, exceptionally well fucking leveled with the situation.
Yeah, but he still walked.
There's only so long you can keep you can keep like your drive up to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, but these days it's all about winning every other racing series possible. And I'm not even going to make a joke about selling hats. He's hyper competitive. He wants to win everything he takes part in. He was monumentally pissed off after the whole IndyCar debacle.
Yeah,
because I mean there was all the talk of him severing all ties with McLaren after that, and he now seems to be all right. He's back in the fold. He turned up, McLaren geared up with the kimono hat in Abu Dhabi, but he was wearing a McLaren shirt. He was there in the garage, and he appears to have made up with them. But you know, do they want his temperament?
he was at the factory working. If he was at the factory working, I would put a fucking big gamble of a tenner on the fact that he was in the simulator working on the 2021 stuff.
Could have been working on his IndyCar.
Could have been working on his IndyCar, but the IndyCar thing seems to have settled, and I don't think he wants to do a full year of IndyCar. I think, like most Formula One drivers, he probably thinks a full year of IndyCar is too dangerous.
Mm. He has said he's doing Indy, though. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is confirmed that he's driving for McLaren because they're going to be entering an extra Arrow, Schmidt, Peterson, McLaren,
whatever it is,
however many. Was it Schmidt, Peterson, Arrow, McLaren? It's Team Spam.
Yeah. Amazing. But I want to see him back in Formula One. I think he's got unfinished business in Formula One, and if 2021 can close it up and make some more teams competitive, and especially there's been talks, hasn't there, where people have said these cars are going to be really, really difficult to drive. Now, I still think he's...
Well, that's Lance Stroll and K-Mag fucked.
Grosjean, fucked. Giovinazzi, fucked. But if
Kvyat in somebody else's cockpit while still being in his own car.
Fucked. But if that is one of the cases, if like one thing we can clearly see from what Alonso's been doing is that he's a mightily adaptable driver.
And because I mean, switching from F1 to WEC to Indy, to whatever the fuck it is that they race in Dakar.
And his first,
it's like some kind of like dune buggy, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's like half dune buggy, half tank.
Yeah, and his first Indy there was a chance he was gonna win that race.
If that engine hadn't let go, he would have at least been on the podium.
Yeah. So I think if the cars are difficult to drive, if the grid bunches up, I think you would be a fool not to take an Alonso if you have a chance of doing it.
I guess it just depends on whether he actually does want it or not, and whether he can get the right deal for him.
I think he'll be back because I don't believe he would have said he wants to come back if he didn't know it was going to happen, just out of ego. I don't think he will want people to think he's not in Formula One because he couldn't get a drive.
Oh, he will spin it to make it all about.
No, but I don't even think he'd have mentioned it if he wasn't certain he can get back in 2021. I don't think he'd have mentioned it.
I remain unconvinced.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I'm cynical about this because he's all about brand Fernando.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. So, but that's why I don't think he would have suggested. He would have like glanced it off and said, "Oh, it's you don't know what the future holds" or something like that. But to be so adamant that he wants to come back to Formula One, I
don't know, because all I've heard from him is "we'll see," and it does sound a little bit.
No. I think he said he was open to it, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was some kind of non-committal.
But there was another one.
Didn't
Brundle grab hold of him and speak to him? He said, "I want to come back." So he said he
No, I
wants...
think I'm thinking of the same interview, but I don't think he was that positive.
I thought he was pretty positive.
He was a bit more hedgy, but
I think it's interesting, and I think he'll be back. I think it'll be good for the sport. I think it's always good when somebody comes back.
Like Kvyat and Kubica.
Yes, or Kimi Räikkönen.
Or Mansell driving that McLaren.
That wasn't ideal.
Or Mansell driving that Jordan.
That Mansell was too old, wasn't he, when he did it?
Well, it was too wide for the McLaren.
Yeah, I suppose that it was in the days before Formula One drivers became super athletes, wasn't it? We were just into that phase where, like, they started becoming.
Although some of the Sean retweeted today about the Mansell Jordan thing.
Yeah.
He was open to testing. Did some testing. Was faster than Ralph Schumacher. Sat down with Eddie Jordan. Jordan found out exactly how much money Mansell wanted, and then it became a media and PR exercise, and there was no way he was driving that car in the race.
Oh, right.
But it got him back in with the sponsors because it gave him a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
Right, we will move on to McLaren next. Fourth, best of the rest. Best of the rest by a long way.
Yeah, very good year, I think.
Yeah,
for McLaren.
first podium in decades.
Yeah, it's a shame it wasn't like a real podium.
Well, the whole team got to go up on the podium later on.
Yeah, it's not the same though, is it?
Not really, because Lando nicked the champagne.
Yeah.
Two quality young drivers. Lando Norris, Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Because you have to vote for Rookie of the Year on social media, and he owns social media.
He does.
Yeah.
Dominate that spectrum, really, doesn't he?
Yeah, just a shitload. But yeah, quality performance from both drivers in the first season for the team. I mean, Lando making the move up to F1, finishing 11th after some really shitty luck.
He did. I still think he's in the danger zone next year. Lando, he needs if he has a year like he's had, he won't be in Formula One the year after.
He needs to show like the better judgment and avoiding that sort of bad luck thing.
Sainz.
I think. Yeah, I think he needs to beat Sainz some of the time. Yeah. But yeah, I think he needs to show just sort of cut out the rookie errors.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some genuine bad luck, like sort of randomly bursting into flames.
He was took out a couple of times as well, and he lost quite a lot of places in the first laps a few times. That's why McLaren told him to be more aggressive.
Which, I mean, in fairness to him, he did sort his starts out and stopped losing places.
Yeah, he's got the quali speed. We've seen that.
Yeah, that's doubtless. But I mean, his problem in the start of the season was he's qualified in 8th, and by the end of lap 1, he's fighting his way back from 13th.
Yeah, so I hope he's my favourite of the drivers now, really. So I hope it works out, but I worry for him next year. There's something a little bit. I don't want to use the word weak, mentally about him, but
I think he can be a bit too nice.
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think he needs a bit of steel in there somewhere, doesn't he?
I think there was one race where he had a bit of sort of rubbing with Albon.
Yeah.
And afterwards was very surprised that his friend would come past him that aggressively. It's like, but you're racing.
And he comes this is the other thing I find odd as well is when you look at sort of George Russell and Albon, they're all the sort of the same age, but Lando Norris comes across as being very young
compared to the other two. Yeah.
And
I think he is a little bit younger, not massively.
But he comes across as being a teenager, doesn't he? A lot of the time.
I think that's mainly because of all the social media stuff. Because he Instagrams like a 13-year-old girl.
No, but in interviews and stuff like that, George Russell, very quickly stopped being a new Formula One driver and just became another man in Formula One.
Toto Wolff told a story about when he first met George Russell was when he was 15 and he turned up in a suit.
Yeah.
I mean, George Russell does have an old head on young shoulders.
Yeah. But Albon as well. Albon, I think, seems to have he seems to be a bit more grounded.
Very level-headed.
Well. Yeah.
Everything's very sort of calm and controlled.
That's what I hope being the court jester doesn't like fuck Lando's.
Yeah,
career
he
up.
needs to not stop all of it, but just kind of mature out of some of it a little bit.
The other side of the garage, though, seeing what Carlos Sainz can do without the Red Bull axe hanging over his head, because even when he was at Renault, he was still only on loan from Red Bull.
Yeah.
Breaking the ties with Red Bull, it's just he's come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
We always used to say that Sainz used to just get on with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's doing more than that because he's pushing. You see him making more moves rather than where did he come from?
And just driving good races.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no Baku comes to mind. He had a really good race in Baku, didn't he? Where there was nothing spectacular there.
Yeah, I must admit I can't remember his
But
Baku, but that would fit with that if there was nothing particularly.
But he just had a really good race pace. I can't remember where he finished. Was he seventh?
Yeah.
And was Norris eighth? See, because he caught Norris and passed him, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He made up something like, 15 seconds in the last 10 laps and then passed Lando.
I want to say Sainz had a really bad start to the year as well in terms of just things catching fire.
It took him till Baku to actually score his first points because he didn't finish Australia and Bahrain.
Yeah. So, but I mean, for me, I think he was. If you take Lewis Hamilton out of it, who seemed to not do an awful lot and win a world championship, I think he was the best driver of the year.
To quote half of Twitter from BBC Sports Personality of the Year, well, he just gets in a car and drives it fast. That's all he does.
Yeah. He's never going to win British Sports Personality of the Year, is he?
Solid second this year.
What?
Second this year.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
And it's an Olympic year next year, so it's whoever does the highly
Olympic
featured
and
gold medal
Euros
performance.
and,
Yeah.
Or maybe if he can win a championship in 2021 and he beats Schumacher's record, if he doesn't win British Sports Personality of the Year, I'm going over to speak to somebody. I'm going to go to...
You're going to go take on Claire Balding.
Yeah, it's just like, hang on a second.
Odd-numbered years are the best years for
random.
non-athletics and non-footballers to win. Although in 2009, Jenson Button didn't win because Ryan Giggs did, because, as you said last night, it's because he retired.
Yeah, this could be how Hamilton gets one if he just gets it out of sheer, oh shit, he might not be here much longer, let's...
Not Formula One, but British Sports Personality of the Year's tie-in. Did anybody see Gary Lineker's tweet to Piers Morgan?
No.
It was fucking hilarious. Gary Lineker tweeted and said, "Hey Tubbs, hi Tubbs, I can't watch the Arsenal game because I'm at the British Sports Personality of the Year reunion. Can you tell me what the score is?" To which Morgan replies, "It's not going well, mate. It's not yet. The only thing going worse than this is your rehearsals."
Oh dear. They have quite good banter, to be fair to them. They seem to quite regularly go for each other. And I think it's a kind of well-intentioned way.
Although anything that takes the piss out of Arsenal fans, I'm all for. Not where everyone was expecting me to go on that. But great season for McLaren overall.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, from where they've been.
Yeah. I mean, getting fourth was maybe they'll come good this year at the start of the season. It's like, oh shit, they actually have.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are signs that they are on the way back and things are looking good for them in 2 years' time.
I hope so. I mean,
with them taking a Mercedes engine in 2021.
Yeah, you kind of hope they're going to be championship contenders, don't you?
You've got to think that they're going to be pushing for podiums and wins, because they've proved that they can get more out of the car being powered by a Renault engine than Renault.
Yeah.
So if they get the best engine on the grid, then they build a car that is worthy of that engine. You know, you'd like to think they would be up there with Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'd love to see the possibility of a four-way fight for a championship.
Well, I kind of hope that what Formula One's doing, it sort of smells of it a little bit, is Formula One seems to have looked at MotoGP. You know, when you look at the way the rules are and what the changes are with things, and I do think the idea of the satellite teams might be closing in a little bit more. And McLaren, with what they've got, like infrastructure wise, they should be a top team. You know.
Yeah, and they're spending more money on the infrastructure
Yeah.
as well because they're rebuilding the wind tunnel. So
New simulator as well. They're
new,
gonna
new simulator that's going in.
generation simulator. I think they're saying it is that will be like nothing else simulator wise they've ever had.
Except for
Wow.
what's in Lando's living room.
I was going to say, do we reckon it's Lando's personal sim supplier that's
Probably.
bringing that in?
Yeah, just not to name drop, but when we asked him the question, sort of, what do you like about the simulator? And he said, which one, the one in here in the factory, or the one I've got at home?
Yeah, it's only an iRacing PC rig, isn't it? You know, he's got it's nothing crazy.
No, I think he's added crazy to it recently. What you see on Twitch isn't the real one.
I think that's just his racing
Yeah.
setup.
Oh, yeah.
There are two setups in that living room, and the other one doesn't belong to his flatmate.
Oh, I don't know about that. But it'll be interesting to see. I'd love to look at what the sims are like, especially when they build the new ones. Because I always wonder when Formula One's going to decide to go like VR with sims.
Interesting.
It can't be far from. I mean, we've seen a lot of the Mercedes one this season with all the behind the scenes stuff that Sky have done with.
I never believe that they're the actual simulators. You see, I think because it always looks a little bit. We hire this out for corporate events
It's,
usually.
the TV simulator.
Yeah.
Possibly. Right, Red Bull next. So we've got a Honda back on the podium. We've got a Honda winning races. We've got a Honda on pole.
Shocking.
Hellfire.
Good year.
Yeah, I mean, I think third in the championship was the best that Red Bull could hope for.
It was
because
Max's best year.
They've got a new engine.
Yeah.
You don't change engine suppliers and all of a sudden win everything.
No.
Not these days.
I don't think we can count it as a new engine, to be perfectly honest, though.
All right, it had a year's development
they
in
gave
Toro
it
Rosso.
sort of a year of testing and trial and error and whatnot.
But
with Toro
even
Rosso.
through this season as well, it's those Toro Rossos were going pop quite a lot. Mm-hmm. They used all the components before everybody
did
else.
Hartley
I think.
have 6 engines last year? I think it was about
Yeah,
that many.
yeah.
He had a lot of experience with putting a new
Of
engine
course he
in.
did, yeah.
But it's great to see that switching to Honda didn't harm them.
No, not at all. Well, I think
With the amount of Toro Rossos that went pop in 2018.
I think they're ahead of where they would be with Renault engines now.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I actually agree with you on
I
that.
think so.
Because the Renault just doesn't have the pace. 90% of Red Bull's achievements is what Adrian Newey has drawn.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. When Red Bull were doing the business, it was an aero formula, and I fully expect with this whole ground effect thing coming in and the like new top surfaces like jobbies going on, Adrian Newey's going to come up with something.
There is a lorry load of pencils being delivered to a factory in Milton Keynes as we speak.
I mean, if he doesn't, maybe it's the end of Newey. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everyone gets to that point in every field where the next step is a step too far for you. And this very well.
There's always a faster gun out there somewhere.
Well, I kind of think James Ellison might be the next Adrian Newey. He seems the guy that might be the one that takes that next step to be. If you want to win, you probably need an Ellison car.
If it's not him, it's James Key.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he was partially behind the McLaren towards the end of the season.
There was a fight over him as well.
Let's see what the 2020 McLaren can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it's a James Key car.
And Keys always did the best of what he could do with Toro Rosso as well.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
He.
No one ever talks about Ferrari's designer, do we?
No.
That's because we don't know who it is
Exactly.
this week.
Yeah. Odd, isn't it?
Yeah. In the 2 hours that we've been recording this podcast, they've taken 3 out and shot them.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, great season for Red Bull. Max finally breaking his pole position hoodoo.
Yeah.
Doing it 3 times and actually getting to start from pole twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been fastest in Q3 3 times.
Yeah.
Just maybe don't let your mouth run away with you so much in future.
A valuable lesson, I think, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't slow down but I knew if I lost that lap, my next fastest lap was still faster than anyone else. It's like,
Incorrect.
not anymore, it isn't. But obviously, you can't talk about Red Bull this season without the bloody switcheroo.
It wasn't the bloody switcheroo, though. It was the right thing to do.
Yeah, it suited both drivers in the end.
Yeah.
We were saying it was going to happen we were saying it should happen from about a month before it did.
Yeah, well, I thought it was going to happen directly after the summer break.
I think we started talking about it like sort of Baku-ish, though, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was a lot earlier than it actually happened.
Well, Gasly looked awful in testing, didn't he? If I remember right.
Do you know what? I can't remember him in testing, but I can't
think
imagine he was great.
He was crashy in testing.
Fair enough.
So they made the right choice. I like Albon. I think, like I say, I think he might be able to hassle Max next year.
Yeah, he's really stepped up. I think he, on average, outscored Gasly per race because they didn't have the same number of races in a Red Bull. So
that would sound about right.
He came out with a higher average score for each race that he had in a Red Bull in comparison.
Yeah.
It's looking good for him for next season if he keeps the maturity and if Helmut Marko doesn't have one of his moments.
Yeah.
And decides to promote the cleaner into the car.
So they can't
something.
really afford to at the moment, can they? Because they've not really got anyone else ready yet.
There's nobody coming through as far as things stand. You know, technically the next choice could easily be Sean Gallale.
Doesn't have license points,
which is just as well. But no, it's been a positive season, and I think they've got a lot of opportunities to build on it now in 2020 and definitely in 2021. We always end up going back to 2021. Just shows how much of it's now of a year next year, which I don't like that.
I think next year's all about Lewis equaling Schumacher.
It's going to happen because there's not many tweaks to the aero on the cars. The engines are going to still be of the same quality. There's one more race on the calendar, and you get an extra MG UK.
Mm-hmm.
If Lewis wins this World Championship, is that the most World Championships won in a row by a single driver?
Ooh, God!
It would equal Vettel.
Would it?
It was 17, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
You forget about the Rosberg.
The Rosberg one.
And Schumacher's 5 in a row.
Yeah.
So no, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
It'd be equal second.
I think it's stunning how he just keeps doing it, like turning up now.
Mm. But yeah, back to Red Bull. Absolute solid season. Only 3 retirements all year between the 2 cars.
Yeah,
that's not bad going. To be fair,
that's good.
Especially
Especially with Honda engines in the back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm trying to think. There was Verstappen got punted somewhere by Leclerc.
I think Verstappen had
although technically Gasly
engine.
didn't finish the race in Germany, but he was still classified.
Yeah.
He crashed though, didn't he?
Yeah,
but
into Albon.
Yeah, but we didn't have Honda engines exploding every 10 minutes in the back of that car. And that's what I thought was going to happen because I thought Red Bull would just end up fucking packaging it too tightly. So, yeah, I'll be interested. I think there's more chance of Red Bull giving Mercedes a run for their money next year than there is Ferrari.
I mean, they've got a lot to make up. A lot of space to make up, but I mean, Bottas is now saying it needs to be Bottas 2.77.
I mean, you say they've got a lot of space to make up, but they were kind of there towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
In
the middle of the season and at the end.
Yeah, I think they skipped Ferrari at the end of the year pretty much, especially when Ferrari stopped cheating, which I had a massive argument with somebody on Twitter about.
They didn't cheat. It was exploiting the rules as they were written to their fullest extent.
All right, Ron.
We'll move on to Ferrari now because even though they came second this year, it was an unmitigated disaster.
Absolute worst season for Ferrari I can remember for ages. Terrible year for Ferrari.
To say that they looked so far ahead of everyone
Yeah.
in testing.
I mean, that winter championship.
But how can they just... it was just... The strategy was horrific.
I mean, Vettel only winning one race in the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he definitely had the car under him to win more. You know, as soon as the summer break was over, Leclerc with those 2 wins straight away. All right, it's on circuits that suited the car, but you've still got to drive quicker than anybody else, even if your car's the fastest.
Yeah.
And they were as clueless as Mercedes Germany pit stop all year.
I'm tired of saying, like, next year for Ferrari. I'm tired of saying it. Because it just...
They've almost become McLaren. Waiting for them to bounce back.
I don't know, because at least when McLaren were fucked, you kind of knew why they were fucked. But there's something embedded in that team which is broken, and
it's the whole culture. I mean, it's how Ferrari have been since, really and truthfully, Ross Brawn left.
Yeah, you're right. 2008 was the last good Ferrari year, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like where Ferrari, of what we think of as Ferrari. Then you've got, with Vettel and Leclerc, you've got Vettel, which isn't driving as well as we think he can drive. You know, I still believe he's a good driver. I don't buy into the he only won championships because of Red Bull, because I don't even if you have like a dominant car that wins a championship, you know, it's like people could throw it at Jensen for, you know, how ahead the Brawn was when he got the lead and then just managed to keep a lead for the rest of the year. You could say about Kimi Räikkönen when the two McLarens were fighting with each other.
He didn't win the championship. McLaren lost it.
Yeah. But I don't believe what you just said there about Vettel winning 4 world championships. You don't do that by accident.
When you have the same teammate for those, or for most... No, it was for all 4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So if the car is...
Case,
sooner or later it should have been Webber's turn.
Yeah. So I there's something that doesn't work with Vettel in... Or Vettel in this era of Formula 1, maybe, because it went wrong for him when we started getting to the hybrid era, didn't it? So I don't know what it would be, but it doesn't help Ferrari, because you've got him, which keeps making mistakes. Then you've got Leclerc, who I think's an all right driver. I don't think he's a world champion. I don't get that. I don't get the Max Verstappen and Leclerc comparisons at all.
I'm going to break a cardinal rule and just see what comments come in after that.
But he's not good for the morale of the team either, because I think he's so passive aggressive and snarky about comments with his teammate, and it's even radioing back into the team. So, we will talk about this later. You think, fuck off. You're an employee, mate.
Well, we'll talk about this later. That was Vettel that said that.
No, it was him. It was when he felt done over about strategy.
No, Vettel said it at one point of the year as well.
Maybe that's like a go-to Ferrari sassy phrase.
It could be. And then the whole clusterfuck in Italy.
Oh, no, but wasn't Vettel's one where he was going to let Leclerc back later on during the race? It was that was it. We'll talk about this later. It was like later on in the race, before he broke down.
No, I think there was one in qualifying as well. One in a qualifying session. Maybe.
But there's just something there. And like I said, I don't understand how they're going into a season with those two drivers. It seems crazy.
I mean, they're going to have to do something to separate them, because they will continue to fight over the same piece of track, and it should be a case of no one driver is bigger than Ferrari because of who Ferrari are.
Well, that's what I don't get, right? About the whole situation is because they are so even on pace. They're always around the same area. But then you'll get your the Leclerc diehards that are there that think he's the lead driver for Ferrari and he's going to win them a world championship and stuff like that. And they're saying Vettel's shit. But they're always in the same place. And they're always as fast as each other. So which one is it? Is Vettel still capable of winning the world championship with Leclerc, or is Leclerc as shit as Vettel? Do you know what I mean?
It's kind of similar, I think, to Hamilton and Rosberg.
Yeah.
But Hamilton, obviously, at that point had the titles, was very much the incumbent,
Yeah.
and Rosberg, when he sort of at the start of his title year had the form, and then they were on the same bit of track.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Very similar.
But it
kind
seems
of
to be every
scenario.
race. They're gonna come together more next year. Absolutely.
That'll be fun.
I
That'll
can-
keep
I
us
can
entertained.
see it
though, won't it?
happening. That's going to be the kind of thing that gets Red Bull closer to Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it was only, I mean, at the start of the season, Vettel and Leclerc weren't fighting with each other
No.
that much.
They seem to be like one had a good race, then the other one
Yeah.
didn't.
But then when they were both fighting over the same square millimetre of track,
Yeah.
and that's what kicked it all off. And if that carries over into the start of next season, Christian Horner's going to be sat back and saying,
Yeah.
it's ours for the taking.
Also, Ferrari's never-ending ability to shag one of the racers up for their drivers.
I don't know how
It
they
is
managed to do
just
it.
phenomenal, isn't it?
It's like they can't run two strategies. So you either who's in the lead? Vettel, right? Great, bring him in. What we're going to do with Leclerc? I don't know.
Leave him out for 5 laps and, hang on, oh, damn it, we put Vettel on wets.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
We're bringing Leclerc late. Oh, God, his tyres have completely gone off. Everybody's passed him. He's fighting for 19th with Kubica.
Yeah.
Bring him in now.
Mate, it's like it got some sort of fucking psychic medium to do the fucking strategies.
Pull numbers out the hat and it's like, this is the lap that we're going to pit on. And the Thunderball for how many laps later we'll bring Leclerc in is...
Chief strategist is a magic 8-ball.
Chief strategist, Mystic Meg. So that leaves Mercedes. A difficult season, according to them.
I
because-
think it was difficult for them.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the best car they've ever made, and they only won the constructors' championship by 235 points.
Terrifying.
And that was in not a good car.
Yeah.
After the
I've said it
complaint
all year.
after the complaint about the 2017 car being a diva,
Yeah.
the 2018 car was it's heavy and bulky,
Yeah.
and the 2019 car was basically not good. Well, nobody's bloody come close to challenging. I mean, any of those cars.
I think they had cooling issues which dogged them the whole year. And
There was more holes in that car than there were in Ferrari's strategy.
it looked like the new Mac Pro. There was that many holes in
Is that the one that looks like a
Cheese
dustbin?
grater.
The cheese grater, yes. As Homer Simpson called them, speed holes. Makes the car go faster.
£52,000 worth of computer if you tick every box.
Jesus.
52k. If you want the coasters, if you want it on wheels,
Right.
they're £400 each.
Why do you need it on wheels?
Oh.
Because you need a mode of transport because the only way you can afford one is to sell your car.
I mean, like,
As long as you drive an Aston Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Juice It Up has got 2.5 terabytes of RAM.
Wonderful.
Jesus. Moving back to something else that's silver with a load of holes in it.
Yeah.
So it was not a great car, yet it destroyed everyone else. How many 1-2 finishes are we looking at?
Lots.
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, the first 5 races, for starters, was a Mercedes 1-2. Then 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of 21 races were 1-2 finishes for Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton did not finish outside of the points once this season.
That's crazy.
Valtteri Bottas finished in the points 19 times and retired in the other 2.
And what was the difference between Hamilton and Bottas in the end? point-wise?
It was 87 points.
Is that might be Bottas's best year against Hamilton,
I
isn't
think
it?
so.
I think it is. I mean, he was leading the championship after the first 2 races.
How do you overhaul that though? Right, when you've got an 80-odd point disadvantage to your teammate, it's not a couple of wins.
I was going to say that's 3 wins plus 3 retirements for your teammate plus another good sort of lopsided result.
Make sure you get the fastest lap in as many races as you can.
Yeah. I don't believe Bottas is capable of beating Lewis Hamilton.
I think he needs a sort of Rosberg style bit of luck where Hamilton has a few
I think
Duff
he needs.
car
I think he needs more
issues.
than that because I think Rosberg was better than him. Rosberg needed that look, and Rosberg was close to Lewis Hamilton, and that's the other thing as well. I don't believe Rosberg would have beat this Lewis Hamilton,
Possibly not.
even with the bits of luck.
I mean, Hamilton could have won in 2016 if he had have had better luck.
Yeah, if his engine hadn't gone, if his engine hadn't blown, was it Malaysia?
Malaysia.
Yeah.
If
but
his
there was
engine,
like fire out the
yeah,
back of it.
yeah.
It was a proper engine.
If that hadn't have gone, he'd have won that world championship.
Mm.
I'm convinced of it.
Who won that race? Was it Ricardo?
You're gonna make me.
It was Rosberg second.
I think so. I think it was Ricardo, Rosberg, and someone else.
Let's have a look. Honestly, making me work.
Sorry about this.
James, I'm busting for Lewis to take that.
I was going to say you were busting for the loo.
No,
We're nearly done. We're on Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm busting for Lewis to take that.
Yeah,
record.
Ricardo won, Verstappen second, Rosberg third.
Yeah, I'd love him to take every Schumacher record with him when he leaves.
And it might well happen. He's been on.
It's quite the record hunt this year. Every other race, it seemed like he took some sort of record.
Yeah, he's been all out, and I think this is why he'll stay with Mercedes, and Mercedes will carry on building the team around him.
Will he do the wins one? Can he do the wins record next year? Is he?
Yeah,
Flood has been telling us about this for months, and I can't remember the answer.
At one point this year, it was possible for him to do it if he won the last 8 races of the season. I think he's only something like only 5 off.
Wow. So Lewis Hamilton's winning more than 5 races in a year.
Let's have a look. He's done
the pole record, hasn't he?
I think so.
Fastest
There was a
laps,
helmet.
maybe?
I'm sure there was a helmet presentation for the pole record.
Yes,
Yes,
it was
it's
a
Senna
Senna
one.
replica.
Canada last year.
Yeah. Hamilton is on 84. Schumacher did 91 wins.
He's not breaking his lying-in record though.
Now. You've got to think Hamilton will win 8 races or more next year.
You would assume so, barring some
Mercedes
kind
are
of
gonna
catastrophe.
Smash it. Like to the point where I think it's going to be a boring year. Like McLaren was it 94? Oh no, it would be 94.
No.
98 was it? 97? 97.
98 was the Villeneuve year.
97 was 1997 was Villeneuve Championship, wasn't it? So it would have been 98 when they came out and lapped the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I expect in Australia from Mercedes.
I wouldn't put it past him. Yeah, it's just scary.
Yeah,
but I think Mercedes will stick around in Formula One as long as Lewis Hamilton's driving their car. I think him moving to another team will signal the end of Mercedes, and they'll look to sell the team.
Strange. Maybe
because then they'll be able, while he's going for all the records, then why not, do it in a Mercedes because he's won all but one of his titles in a Mercedes.
Would it not be there though for Mercedes to want to do it with somebody else as well?
Guess it would depend who.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, Hamilton could break all Schumacher's records, go somewhere else or retire. They promote George Russell, and then he just wins every race for 7 seasons on the track.
I was just going to say, you could get George in, he could blow the doors off Hamilton. Who knows? Who knows?
But, I mean, Mercedes pretty much faultless this year, except for the
one bad pit stop.
One bad pit stop and a squiff car, and they still destroyed the season.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of points that they took, you don't win a championship by over 230 points by being crap or being slightly below par.
No.
What is it going to take for Toto to come out and say, we've got a really good car this year and we've had a really good season? Is it going to be a 1-2 across the board? All 22 races. Pole position, fastest lap, 1-2.
I don't know. You can always find fault with something, can't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Yorkshireman. It's in my nature to do that.
But I think that's why it's whatever they're self-aware enough to keep doing it. I think that's the thing, is they're self-aware.
you don't want to get complacent, do you?
No.
By thinking, oh yeah, we've nailed it, it's fine.
And they
That's
were
when
so
you get
angry
caught.
with that pit stop. They were so angry with themselves.
Mm.
Whereas, I mean, even like a Red Bull or a Ferrari, maybe not Ferrari. Ferrari would have killed people.
That was a good pit stop by Ferrari
Yeah.
standards.
But we've seen teams in the past that have been winning, and they've had like one scrappy race or something like that, and they've kind of, by the time it gets to the interviews afterwards, they've dusted it under. It'll be good for the next race. Like they were publicly talking about, right? No, we need to go work out what we did wrong here.
It's the way that they're so analytical about everything, and that's what is going along. That's what's gone a long way to get them the success that they've had.
Yeah.
That and a shit hot engine.
Shit hot engine, shit hot. But that's the thing is that it's not just the engine. I think the car, apart from this year, aero-wise, they've been the class of the field as well.
Yeah.
So I can't see them being beaten.
The only worry about the Mercedes is, and I've said this before, that car isn't designed to follow. And look at the problems that Bottas had when he was stuck trying to make a pass in Brazil and ended up having to retire because he overheated. Now that's double the problems because he had the aero problem of not being able to follow him, and all of a sudden you get the cooling problem in there as well.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that they've got to rectify for next year.
I think that'll be all right. I mean, we've seen them race. Like, look at Lewis and Max in Hungary. Lewis chased, followed, got past, won the race. Which I think that was one of his best wins. I thought was tremendous.
I mean, to be honest, with the situation in Brazil, it could have been the temperature or the humidity that was causing the engine problems. We don't know.
But didn't he have a bang as well? Didn't he have a bang with somebody through the race? I thought he took a bit of damage.
I'm not sure.
Can't remember.
I thought it had a clout.
Because it was the engine that thoroughly gave up.
But and the thing is, because he started from the back of the grid as well, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a new engine anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that would have been fucking done up to 12.5.
Yeah.
So
11 was somewhere in the distance disappearing.
Yeah.
Right, so
I think it's us.
I think that's about it for
favourite race of the
2019.
season.
Ooh.
I really enjoyed Hungary. I really enjoyed that. Like, how many times have we seen somebody do a pit stop and them go, "Oh, we're going to roll the dice on something," and then they've just been like a lap shy of winning, and then those lap after lap, which was just like qualifying lap after qualifying lap for Hamilton to catch and pass Verstappen, I thought was fucking brilliant.
I'm gonna go for Austria.
Austria's a good race.
Yeah,
Germany
was
was a good
probably
race
going to
as
go
well.
for Austria.
Yeah.
Bit of chaos.
Those three are very... Yeah, they all have a lot going for them, and it's something different in each of them.
Yeah.
I think Hungary is very much like a sort of racing purist race.
Yeah.
Germany was just, holy shit, what the hell?
Yeah.
And Austria was a different kind of chaos.
Yeah. And Rockstar and Wanker of the season. Because we can't do it without a Rockstar and Wanker.
I think Rockstar Signs.
Or Hamilton. I'm going to say Hamilton just because he was the world champion.
I'm going to say Signs.
Or Drive to Survive.
Yeah, possibly.
That could be in the air.
Cannot wait for season 2.
Wanker. Wanker is a hotly contested.
There's a few good options, isn't there?
There is a lot out there for it.
I think I'm going to have to go Charles Leclerc.
Just reply on Twitter to that one.
Paul Ricard and his shit circuit. I realise
Which
he's
technically
not,
makes it Bernie Eccleston.
Yeah. Well, apparently they're going to rejig it, aren't
Apparently
they?
so, yeah. That'll
I
help.
would say rip the whole thing up and fucking start it
Well,
again.
considering it's got like 350 different.
You would think
like,
we talked about this
setups.
last week. Flood,
must
was
be
it Flood who pitched
Yeah.
the idea of a different configuration each lap,
Yeah.
just for shenanigans? But
Are Ferrari the wankers?
they could
Promising
be.
so much and delivering so little.
Yeah.
I'd agree
few
with
good
you on that one.
options.
Just a blanket for obviously excluding Vettel, but if everything in red but Vettel.
Dear God. Right, we've run really long. I don't think we've got time for a total shunt tonight.
I don't think so. I think it's time to go
conscious that
pub.
my work alarm is going off in 5.5 hours.
Yeah, and I've got to mix this when we get home tonight, because if it's late, people will only complain.
To be fair, I'm with you, because that's just what time I have to get up in the morning.
But before we go, just want to thank everyone that's listened and watched us this year.
Yeah.
Really hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed doing the shows and the live blogs and all the social media stuff that we've done. And massive thank you to Sean for all the news stories.
Yeah. Thank you for putting up with our nonsense for another year.
An extra big thank you to everyone that's donated on Patreon during the year.
Extra 2 thank yous.
Yeah, it's double thank you for that. Yeah. And if you want to be doubly thanked at the end of next season, then just go to patreon.com/3Legs4Wheels.
Yeah.
And you can donate, and it basically pays for everything that we do. If you want to get in touch, we'll still all be around on social media over the winter. Drop us an email, 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. Go to @3legs4wheels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And get us individually on Twitter.
I am at Sean Cowper.
I'm at A Total Shunt.
I am at Pablo100. Chris is at Flood21. And Dan is at Dan Dankleton.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, except just want to wish everyone a happy Christmas and a fantastic 2020.
Yep.
And we'll be back in the new year.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
It's just us, YouTube.
Niska, the reason that we missed Jana tonight is she's flying to Mexico on Wednesday, and she wanted to listen to the podcast on the plane.
Oh, yes. I remember you saying.
So, she does apologise. So, quick one for YouTube. You enjoyed this year? Obviously, I'm not going to get an answer straight away, because people have to hear it and then type things. Gemma says they did.
Memory card.
Oh, yeah, that'd help. It's in my wallet, which was massively underused this weekend. I love free bars. There you go. That means I can have the noisy vape. Right, should get this posted up. I'll mix it as soon as I get in. It'll be up sort of Patreon 10 o'clock. F1 show 10:30 UK time tomorrow.
Where is everyone?
So we've had we've had a few weeks of doing the YouTube live streams, and I think they are here to stay.
I think they're here to stay. It's good fun, isn't it? I like doing it.
And we've bought all the cameras and shit. So.
Yeah, there's now
tech.
Duplicate tech at our house as well as around here. I think sometime if we can get a few of us together over Christmas and New Year, we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Do just like a live YouTube only Q&A and chat and join in, and maybe see if we can get Skype call-ins on there as well, and we'll just have like a chat show.
Yeah, I think that'd be good fun.
If we can arrange something like that, there's time over the holiday season to do that.
There is. There's loads of time. Nothing but time.
For all those people that got time off between Christmas and New Year. Like I haven't. For the first time in many, many years. They're making me go to work.
I know.
That's a good... Oh, Nasty, that's a good point. What about the fact Albon had to drive 2 different cars in a short amount of time? Well, I think he did a good job.
Yeah, I think when you said that Lando was Rookie of the Year, that was in terms of the actual award that was given
what
to.
That was like the Twitter one, but the actual motorsport, autosport, whatever it was, Rookie of the Year was
it Albon?
Albon?
I could have sworn I'd seen it have gone to
Norris. He did deserve that. I mean, you do make a good point about the
because he had the green light, didn't he? At the first test, he still had the novice light on.
Yeah, because he'd not driven an F1 car since I think it was like Hungary the season before on a Friday morning, wasn't it?
No, I don't think he'd driven because he wasn't assigned to a program at that point.
Red Bull at the
there was more top Lando bants about it.
Oh yeah,
because Lando got a picture of himself with Albon, and Albon had his Rookie of the Year trophy at the Autosports Awards. And Norris tweeted it saying, "I'm finally managed to catch up with my hero and Rookie of the Year, Albon." To which Albon replied to him, he said, "Never mind, kid. You might win next year." Oh.
There's only one chance.
Yeah.
Then Lando replied to that saying, "You've changed since you joined Red Bull."
Just a quick one to Glenn. We all hope Santa brings you a new job.
Job?
Yes.
Glenn Merkel, he lost his job a few weeks ago.
Oh,
so.
I hope so as well, Glenn.
So yeah, we're all going to put on our Christmas list that Santa brings you a new job this year, or at least more time to play Football Manager, or maybe a job as a playtester for Football Manager. He's addicted to Football Manager.
I like managing games. I wish they'd do a good Formula 1 manager again.
That Motorsport Manager promised so much and delivered about as much as a Ferrari pit stop.
No, it's a good game. It's okay, but it's just not. It's not as much. Like the old EA one was fucking brilliant.
Anyone that calls in has to say long-time listener, first-time caller. It's local radio call-in show law. Sean, as someone that works on local radio, do you enforce that policy at work?
I have never heard anyone announce that as such.
Oh, then again, no, the only call-in show that's on your radio station is angry people complaining about potholes or anyone that isn't 90th generation
I
Max.
think Jeff Sharp is more long-time listener, full-time cum bucket.
Be nice to him. He paid for our F1 subscription this year.
Yeah. You can take it. We're both secret Tories.
Secret? Yeah, we'll do a political show one day. No, we fucking won't.
Already got one of those. It's called Woken Dead, and you can listen to it this weekend.
Is it the Woken Dead, or as you've been putting it on Twitter, the Woking, as in where McLaren are dead? Because I've seen you tweet that about 4 times.
Oh, it's fucking. I'm so bad because what I end up doing on Twitter is I'm just quickly typing things on my phone, and then fucking autocorrect gets in the way. Yeah, it should be Woken Dead.
Yeah, because you tweeted about the Woking Dead loads of times. I was like, is he doing a special McLaren only political show?
No. But it's going to be a really good show this weekend, actually, for people that want to tune in. I think it should be a live show as well. But there's fucking loads to talk about.
Well, I might start doing that album review podcast in the new year if I get a little bit more time.
You can start with my EP.
But that's out now.
Yeah.
But that's out now. Go and buy it. What's the Bandcamp address?
So just Clan Calls for War Bandcamp. You can find our EP, and like I say, on Wednesday, it'll be on your Alexa and on your Spotify's and on your Apple iTunes and your Apple Musics and all the other bollocks.
Can I go into a record shop and buy it?
No, we're not doing any physical copies.
No, you're not.
No, we've done some limited run posters of the artwork because we got a really talented artist to do the artwork for us, and it cost us money. So we've made some posters.
After I spent 43 quid on vinyl last weekend, 2 albums.
I realised we have gone full wankery.
No, you could have stopped there.
No, we've gone full wankery post rock. We've got a 6.5 minutes a song, which is the opening song, which is an instrumental. So it's not really a song, and it's called "Beauty Torments the Mind and Corrupts the Soul."
So, another thing to wish for Christmas is Lee gets his head removed from his arse. Right, it's time to go home. It's 11:30.
I agree.
He's on the point of stopping being late and starting becoming early.
Go listen to my EP. The best track on it is Murder Under Moonlight, in my opinion, and that's what you're playing out with.
And watch out for Bush Weasel in 2020.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Why am I trying to turn it off on that?
No, you stop it on that one.